But do not let these men convince you that we're all the same. Destiny said to Ethan in his big, like, you know, message to Ethan that basically, like, everyone on the internet, you know, is like a piece of shit, something like that. No, 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 no. Do not let these perverted, disgusting men convince you we are as bad as them. No, we are fucking not. And exactly why they are such pieces of shit is exactly why we got Trump in the way that we did. Because Trump will convince you, oh, all men are like this. All people are like this. No, 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 no. All right. So just in case you guys are new to my content, my name is Brittany Simon. We do philosophy through pop culture. I'm in my mid-30s, 36 right now. I have spent my whole life deconstructing minimally. I think I became much better at it recently. But all of my life, I've been questioning, you know, who raised me, how I was raised. I grew up Catholic. My parents are immigrants from Iraq. You know, we're Assyrian. When we, you know, think about our family legacy, we think about our why, we think about how we got here. You know, we didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. We exist and all that came before us, right? Not to, you know, quote a politician's mother, but here we are. What I'm trying to make sure you know about my channel, because this question comes from a new watcher, or at least I assume a new watcher, there seems to be a real misunderstanding of what it means to be a person. We are constantly debating a singular human or a whole group of people's right to exist, the right to dignity and compassion. We're constantly, you know, sitting in middle of conflicts all the way to genocide and questioning whether or not it's ethical. And so, you know, philosophy, the love of wisdom, gives us an opportunity to sort of ask ourselves deeper questions, but hopefully we also get to deeper answers. So today, this whole stream today, really ask ourselves that question about what it means to do philosophy and how do we know the difference between people who do philosophical work for the ego and people who do it to deconstruct the ego. And I think the result is in your work, but the work might be confusing. So I got this comment and it said, what is the philosophy behind talking about misogyny and patriarchy, but chose to cover Repzion rant versus what misogyny and patriarchy has done to trash a woman like Anicia and iDubbbz online, the very people Repzion was trashing? Not sure what philosophy is being followed here. So philosophy as a construct is diverse and vast. It's globally pursued because it is the love of wisdom, and it is experienced differently based off where you are on the planet. So Western philosophy is going to have a different relationship with philosophical thought than Eastern philosophy. And what I like to do, and the reason I love philosophy, is that I am actually trying to improve my life. So what I pay attention to is, how does philosophical constructs limit us, thinking that identifying with a man who created a philosophy framework is going to free us instead of limit us is kind of ironic to me, right? So when people say to me, like, what kind of philosophy does Brittany Simon do? Well, I'm trying not to do what everyone else is doing, because I think most of the people who make philosophy on YouTube are doing it limited, and they're often not even happy. You can take Alan Watts as an example. Everybody loved Alan Watts. He was a deadbeat dad, an alcoholic who chose booze over his family. He was a neglectful father and a bad partner. So I don't care what Alan Watts says. I care about if a philosopher is able to examine, ask the why, and implement it into their life. Like, I'm not really interested in listening to men rant on the internet and not even apply it to their own lived experience. It doesn't make any sense to me. And when people say, oh, like, it's hard. So recently you'll have someone like an Alex O'Connor who came out as vegetarian or vegan, debated people about veganism, and then decided he can't be vegan because it's incompatible with his lifestyle and / medical issues, but argued that veganism is correct.
What I'm trying to do instead is get across the point that when I'm talking about the practicability of living a healthy plant-based diet, I'm not talking about the idea that a plant-based diet isn't or can't be healthy. What I'm trying to get across is that even if in principle it can be healthy and it's perfectly possible to be healthy on a plant-based diet, for various practical reasons that might be something that's unattainable. And to not recognize that, I think is a mistake, and I think it's going to do harm. And on that point, I should talk about some of the reactions that I've received just from the statement that I put out. I mean, there have been some responses that have been perfectly fine, you know, disappointed or trying to understand or whatever. But, I mean, you don't need me to tell you that there's been a great deal of hatred and vitriol. You can see it for yourself. Of course, what you can't see is the things that people are messaging me privately. Maybe I can show some examples on the screen. It's been relentless, and sometimes from like from quite like established figures, like, you know, blue tick vegan advocates sending me messages saying that I'm, quote, fucking retarded, as well as I saw That Vegan Teacher said that if we were living in a time where it was still legal, she'd be calling for my public hanging. You'll forgive me if I'm not going to give you the details, certainly not of my mental health experiences, when I know that there are people out there who are just waiting to essentially make content out of this. I've already seen people just making all kinds of videos and memes. I've been doing YouTube a long time. Like, I built up a thick skin to this kind of thing. I can deal with mean comments, but I've had a lot of people reaching out to me to check that I'm okay. You know, people seeing the responses and messaging me to be like, man, like, are you doing all right? I mean, this looks horrendous. And a lot of it has been horrendous. But as I say, I can deal with it. The thing that I want people to be careful of here is, like, how is this going to look to other people? Like, I still want to encourage people to try veganism. I still want to encourage people to join the movement against animal suffering, against factory farming. But imagine somebody's on the fence about becoming a vegan. You know, they're not really sure whether it's going to be for them or not. And then they see what's happened here. Right? They see somebody who says, look, this wasn't working for me for various reasons, and I need to let you know about that. And seeing this kind of response, seeing this hatred.
It's not to say that he can't be wrong or on a different journey, but it's to say that you don't have an actual embodied experience or understanding of the thing that you claim to debate and advocate for. It's the same thing you see from the debate bros who sit there and get online and debate these very salient points, but don't exhibit it in their own lives. So there seems to be just like a deep misunderstanding that philosophy isn't just something you use to boost your ego. It's supposed to actually get you on a journey towards wisdom. And I don't think I'm wise. I think I'm earning my wisdom. So I really struggle sometimes when I see these boys, especially men on the internet, who are in great positions of privilege, a lot of them incredibly wealthy, or at least in a position of power where they get to pick and choose their interviews and choose only to interview with the center or the right, people who voted and advocated for Trump, right? These men are the ones we keep boosting into prominence. And I understand if you don't do philosophy in a very specific way, no one takes you seriously, but that's what I want to deconstruct, is that your philosophical relationship with the work is rooted in like classism and racism and like snobbery. I always say I was a person who was so unhealed and so chaotic and so self-harming. And it really was therapy plus philosophy that got me to where I am. But it's not just a matter of reading thousands of books. I mean, gosh, that's not very hard when you're autistic, girls. Say it. How many of us have read thousands of books? It's not that big of a brag. The issue is, how can I apply what I've learned to my actual life? How can I apply this concept to actually improve my life and have a embodied experience with this work of literature while still, you know, throwing out all the bad stuff that doesn't apply? Okay. So that's what I want us to talk about today. And that's why I went over a Repzion video because my audience asked me to. Remember that I make a lot of my content because it's requested from my audience. Like, if I can review a piece of media and allow us to use it to better our lives, I will do it. If I can show you a real human being who had a decade on the internet with all of the resources accessible to him and decided never to grow and only became stunted, it's a great example of people not using philosophical thought in an embodied way, right? So I think when we're having these conversations, there's just like a misunderstanding that we're not here, at least not on my channel, to like boost our ego. We're here to humble ourselves. We're here to check the ego. Okay. So it's not the way that I talk, because I know sometimes people hear me talk and they go, Brittany's so egotistical. Listen, okay, it's the way I talk, but listen to what I'm saying and understand that I'm implementing it in my life. Okay. And I also have to remember that when we're on YouTube, we're not doing a member stream. We're not on the Discord. That means anyone from anywhere in the world can come onto my channel. So sometimes I'll talk about like trans issues and the transphobes will come in. Well, obviously I'm not making content for transphobes. Yes. Okay. But that means that when I talk, I have to remember that even if people come in and argue with me, it doesn't mean they're right. If the premise of their starting point is like transphobia, good. Because obviously transphobia bad. So I have to also, as a content creator, pick and choose who I'm going to take criticism from and who I'm going to hear out. Because if you're already starting off a point, then we can't have the conversation. It's like one of the, greatest kind of ideas I use or like indicators of where a person is coming from is if they think I'm a Hassan stan. Like if you come to my content and think Brittany's like a huge fan of Hassan, I already know I can write you off because you're not listening to when I talk about him. But you're also not listening in understanding the criticism I have of him isn't the criticism I'm going to have of like an Ethan Klein who deserves all of the criticism. And at the same time, like if you criticize Hassan for saying America deserved 9/11, you're not understanding his perspective enough for me to respect your dissection of his content. Because if you don't understand what he's talking about, then you're not even able to have the conversation. Okay? So I think there comes a point where we're all having different conversations with people at different levels, and also with people are coming to the table with such different perspectives of what it means to even do philosophy that, you know, we have to have that conversation. What I want to do is view real people's lives and figure out how to improve people's lives. I want to improve people's lives. How do we do that? We should do it by really dissecting what it means to come to conclusion, and if the data we've used to come to that conclusion is sound. There's a reason why so many philosophers, white philosophers, end up being raging misogynists and transphobes. There's a reason why a lot of America brought into prominence the Dawkins and the Harrises. And now, you know, a lot of progressives are pushing back and saying, like, no, these aren't the greatest thinkers. Now, at the same time, and this is where I come into my practice of radical acceptance, I have to radically accept that this might be, in many ways, the smartest for the majority of people. But at the end of the day, like, they're not. Like, they might be the smartest for the majority of people, right? You, like, listen to George Carlin and you're like, whoa, you know, I get it. But, like, you're just at the beginning. Dawkins, Harris, and Carlin were the beginning stages of my philosophical journey, right? Plato and Socrates, classic, love them, beginning stages. I was reading them at 19, 20. I'm 36. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are so many other philosophers who have come and gone between that. It's also the stereotype of a person who reads bell hooks and feels like that qualifies them to speak about philosophy. Like, love bell hooks. Only read one of her books, though, right? So, like, again, it's not reading a person. The ego of the consciousness is not the proof that you understand philosophy. It's the way that it shows up in your life. In my opinion, it is the way it shows up in your life. So I'm not an academic philosopher. I'm not even a philosopher. I'm just a girly who loves philosophy. Okay, I'm here to deconstruct gender, our relationship with self, our relationship, you know, in what it means to even exist on the planet in general. Like, we're not having the right conversations, and we wonder why the world keeps going in cycles. Because you guys keep trying to have the same conversation we've been having for thousands of years. And that's fine. But what if we had, I don't know, a different one? Okay. Discord said reading 1,000 books is not a brag. Tell that to the nation of people who have a reading level of 7th grade, bro. RIP America, RIP. Okay, so to this person who asked me this question, it's a good question. But we use real people's lives to have larger conversations. So you said, not sure what philosophy is being followed here. Philosophy, the love of wisdom. It's the ability to explore and understand. That's what we're doing here. We're not identifying with a label. We're not picking a construct created by man. We are not engaging in a limited idea of like, oh, I'm Meridian. Oh, I love Kant. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that to my audience. I'm not going to tell my audience to pick a lane and stay there and then argue that we should be deconstructing. It's like that. I'm not going to do that. And I'm also not going to be like some of these really great philosophy channels like Unsolicited Advice, who I really, really like. I'm not interested in telling you about other philosophers and what they thought about life. I'm here to explore. I'm working on my own framework. I think we should explore their ideas, but I don't want to make content where it's like the 101 of Socrates. There are so many channels that do that. And it's so interesting that in the philosophy world, that's what they call philosophy. Just parroting what other people said. To me, philosophy is so much more than that. It's an opportunity to really solve like the human crisis. And we have so many crises to solve. So what are we doing? Just like parroting and making Socrates 101 videos all the time. How does this apply to real life? Okay, how do we make our life better? We use real people examples to understand stagnation in people's lives. But first, you also have to understand, do I understand this thing that I'm watching? Okay? Do I actually understand this thing? And do I understand how to come to good conclusions based off the data? Okay, with that said, we're going to use philosophy through pop culture to have this conversation about men on the internet, the edginess, the performativity of so-called intellectual debate bros. So obviously, Ethan Klein was outed. So basically, if you guys don't know, and this is so silly, this is the drama part, but there's going to be a larger understanding of this, okay? So the drama part is that H3 Ethan Klein had a falling out with Hassan Piker, okay? Over the in Palestine. So kind of a big issue, right? And Ethan doesn't have the intellectual capability or the deconstructed brain in order to process how he has in every way been anti-Palestine while saying he was pro-Palestinian. Okay. As things dissolved over the last few years, and it's escalated because of Ethan going after smaller Palestinian, pro-Palestinian content creators, or him suing people, or him feeling like everything is an attack on himself, him not taking care of his mental health, there has been a falling out in which now the Asmins and the Destinies of the internet have come to Ethan's aid. And Ethan, time and time again, was like, I'm not talking to, Destiny. I don't talk to these people. Well, Destiny recently outed that, nope, they have been in the DMs together. Okay. That there has been some contact. That Destiny was more than happy to help Ethan on his journey of taking down Hassan because, they're mortal enemies, because years ago, Hassan and Destiny had a falling out, which, if you know anything about Destiny, he really is everywhere. And I think he almost does it on purpose so no one can ever be free of him. We've all collabed with Destiny, and I think it's everyone's biggest regret. He is the guy you go home with at, after a party, and everyone's embarrassed that they even knew the guy. That's Destiny. So Hassan, me, everybody else, you just end up coming across, because if you, like me, love philosophy and love debate, you're thinking, oh, I should go talk to the guy that everyone says is the best debater, until you find out oh, more like masturbator. He's one of the worst, most disgusting serial predators on the internet right now. And I can't believe YouTube is just letting him stay on this platform. Okay. This is why Twitch had to get rid of him. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous idea that he is here on this same website as the rest of us. But then, and this is what happens with Destiny and his fan base, because there really are some of the worst people. They believe in doxing. They believe in going people. Destiny said Hassan deserves to be shot, basically, for what Hassan said about the IOF. Okay. Basically, Destiny went, and his viewers went and scraped up every piece of information about Ethan they could find on the internet. Okay. And that is the thing that is so interesting, is that, if you've left a mark on the internet, this community will find it. The most interesting thing that I think has happened is, one, Destiny is now, quote, pro-Palestine. He changed his X header to a pro-Palestinian flag just to piss off Ethan. So think about the moral and ethical quandary or position this man has put himself in, to be a serial cheater, to be a person who records women without consent and men and posts their porn on the internet, or sex tapes or intimacy tapes. Imagine being a man who uses a genocide to get back at a content creator. So now Destiny is going on the internet claiming he's pro-Palestinian just to piss off Ethan. And you know what's funny is, why would being pro-Palestine piss off Ethan if Ethan says he's pro-Palestine? Because we know Ethan is not pro-Palestine. So then Destiny knows how to get under his skin by saying, see, you're not pro-Palestinian. But now I am. Destiny, who was paid by Israel, who went to Israel, who did media for Israel, who told the IOF soldiers, if you're gonna play with people's underwear, don't film it. That Destiny, who said, sorry, it is gotta happen. That Destiny is now all of a sudden pro-Palestine because it pisses off Ethan Klein. So his group of people went and dug up all of this old content from Ethan that, I promise you, Habibi, listen to me when I say this. Every time in my life, and we covered this yesterday on stream, every time that I think, wow, I really got to hold myself accountable for my edgy days, I am made to be silent in the wake of the destruction left by these men on the internet. I cannot believe some of the things that these men have posted, have said. Every time I think I'm an edgy girly, I need to sit my ass down, because I could never contend with how disgusting and deplorable these men are. And I need you to stop holding yourself more accountable than these fucking men. Hold yourself accountable in your own bubble, because we need to heal the world by starting with ourselves. But do not let these men convince you that we're all the same. Destiny said to Ethan in his big, message to Ethan that basically, everyone on the internet is a piece of shit, something like that. No. Do not let these perverted, disgusting men convince you we are as bad as them. No, we are fucking not. And exactly why they are such pieces of shit is exactly why we got Trump in the way that we did. Because Trump will convince you, oh, all men are like this. All people are like this. No. We are not like this. This is not our life. This is not who we are. Some of y'all are literally just worse. And so you need to stop letting these men gaslight you and convincing you that you are doing anything close to what these men are doing. And just as a reminder, I want to play these 2 Trump videos to start this conversation off, to remind us of exactly how Trump got elected because of the Destiny and the Ethans. Because they are men who get up here and talk about how they're progressive and pro-women and liberal and how they're not homophobic or transphobic and how they are good people. And the moment you realize the trail of tears they have left for the last 15 years on the internet is so deplorable and so disgusting, it makes absolute sense if the next 2 years they start advocating for Trump. I swear to God, I would not be surprised if these two men became the biggest Trump simps I've ever seen in my life. So just a reminder of what life felt like, a little simpler, when Trump was simply engaging in locker room talk. Let's go back. Blast from the past, girls. Let's go back in time.
I moved on her, actually. You know, she was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
I did try and she was married.
Sarah.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages. And I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a but I couldn't get there. And she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony and everything. She's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot as in the purple.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes, the Donald is scored. Oh, my man. Wait, you got to look at me when you get out of
That is very
give me the thumbs up.
You are a big
Thumbs up. You got to get the thumbs up. Can't be too happy.
else off first?
Yeah, let me.
It's very
You got to
funny.
give the thumbs up.
You and I will walk in.
Oh, my God.
Maybe it's a different one.
Better not be the publicist. No, it's certain.
Yeah, that's her, with a gold. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even know it. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the I can do anything.
Look at those legs. All you can see is the legs.
No, it looks good.
Come on, shorty.
Oh, nice legs, huh?
Oof, get out of the way, honey. That's good, nice. Go ahead.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
Down below. Pull the hand.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
Trump, how
nice
are
seeing
you?
you.
Pleasure to
Terrific.
meet you.
Terrific. You know Billy Bush?
How are
Nice
you?
to see you. How you doing, Ariane?
Doing very well, thank you. Are you ready to be a soap star?
We're ready. Let's go. Make me a soap star.
How about a little hug for the Donald? He just got off the
Would you
bus.
like a little
Okay,
hug, darling?
absolutely.
A
Melania
little
said
hug for
this
the
was
bushy. I
okay.
just got off the bus.
Push it, push it.
There we go. Excellent. Well, you've got a nice co-star here.
Good.
Yes, absolutely.
After you. Come on, Billy. Don't be
As
shy.
soon as a beautiful woman shows up, he takes
Get
off
over here,
on his
Billy.
always happy.
I'm sorry, come here.
Let the little guy in here. Come
Yeah,
on.
let the little guy in. How you feel now, better? I should actually.
It's hard to walk next to a guy like
Here, wait,
this.
hold on.
Yeah, you get in the middle. There we go.
Good. That's
This is
better.
much better. This is.
That's better.
Now, if you had to choose, honestly, between one of us, me or the Donald.
No, no, no. That's
That's
tough
some pressure right
competition.
there.
Yeah.
Seriously, you had to take one of us as a date.
I have to take a fifth on that one.
Really?
Yep, I'll take both.
Which way?
Make it right. Here we go. Right of the days.
Here he goes. I'm gonna leave you here.
Okay.
Get my microphone.
Okay. You're gonna. Oh, you're finished?
You're my man. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna go do our show.
Oh, you want to reset? Okay.
Okay. So just a reminder of like what it felt like all those years ago to almost like have, it was almost a better time, but it was a worse time, right? And it was just like the casual way these men are talking about these women, the casual way he's like, I'm going to eat some TikToks in case Tic Tacs in case I have to kiss her. You know, when I see a beautiful woman, I just want to kiss her. You know, women, when you're famous and rich, they let you do whatever you want. Grab them by the pussy if you want. All right, let's see if this rings any bells.
You called what you said locker room banter. You described kissing women without consent, grabbing their genitals. That is sexual assault. You bragged that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the American people. Certainly, I'm not proud of it. But this is locker room talk. You know, when we have a world where you have ISIS chopping off heads, where you have, and frankly, drowning people in steel cages, where you have wars and horrible, horrible sights all over, where you have so many bad things happening. This is like medieval times. We haven't seen anything like this, the carnage all over the world. And they look and they see. Can you imagine the people that are frankly doing so well against us with ISIS, and they look at our country and they see what's going on? Yes, I'm very embarrassed by it. I hate it, but it's locker room talk, and it's one of those things. I will knock the hell out of ISIS. We're going to defeat ISIS. ISIS happened.
Listen, I love the manipulation of like ISIS. And I'm like, what does ISIS have to do with you grabbing women by the pussy? Isn't that the audacity, the caucasity, everything, every part of it is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my whole life. And we let this man become president twice. Twice, girls.
a number of years ago in a vacuum that was left because of bad judgment. And I will tell you, I will take care of ISIS.
So, Mr.
and
Trump,
we should get on to much more important things and much bigger things.
Just for the record, though, are you saying that what you said on that bus 11 years ago, that you did not actually kiss women without consent or grope women without consent?
I have great respect for women. Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
So for the record, you're saying you never did that?
I said things that, frankly, you hear these things I said, and I was embarrassed by it, but I have tremendous respect for women.
Have you ever done those
women
things?
Have respect for me. And I will tell you, no, I have not. And I will tell you that I'm going to make our country safe. We're going to have borders in our country, which we don't have now.
Hey, NBC News fans.
Okay, relax there, buddy.
Thanks for checking out.
Okay, so do we understand? Okay, now when we get on the internet and we see Ethan and Destiny have to be held accountable for what they've done, and they go, but what about you? What about you? What about you? Do not let them what about? Because I guarantee you, most of us are not engaging in this way. And that's why, you know, when I went into that space, so good faith, back in the day when I used to watch Ethan and I think, oh my God, collabing with Ethan would be so much fun. I was so almost naive to think that this man was good faith at any point in his career, to think that he was safe, to think that any of these people were safe. And now, even now, I hesitate. So we're going to watch the Do Not Worry podcast. And even I hesitate to say that I like the podcast, because what if there's leaks from these people eventually? I hope not, because I do enjoy watching their podcasts. So I hope not. But the Do Not Worry podcast brought attention to me, because I was not paying attention to these H3 leaks. Like, I really try not to pay attention to boys on the internet. But he went over it on stream and I watched it already. So we're going to watch it together. It's a really good coverage of everything that happened. And I think, like, it'd be nice to watch it through his podcast. But just like FYI, you know, something about working in the Destiny bubble made me realize, like, it is so unsafe of a space. It does really kind of scar you from the chances of not collaborating with all people, but like almost realizing, like, oh, this topic I love, debate and philosophy and discussion, it's co-opted by the worst people you know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what's so difficult, is like, I really like the trolley problem. I really like philosophy. But philosophy has been a boys' club for thousands of years. And it's not because there are no feminine, female, non-binary philosophers. It's just that the ones that rise to prominence, the ones that people know how to reference, right? Like, that's what this is. It just like it's like you're fighting the majority of what people recognize as philosophy to have real conversation. But even the academics who talk about philosophy won't consider what you do philosophy. I guarantee you, most people will struggle to see what I do as philosophy, because their idea of philosophy is shaped by their limited understanding, I think, through the West especially. I understand that, but I wish they would understand that from my perspective, when I see them, and the only way they're having a conversation is not, like, they're not applying it to their real life. I obviously experienced something that I don't think is unique to me, but I think might be unique to this space. Though I think, like, Britt Hartley is, like, probably very similar. Dr. K feels very similar. Where, like, we obviously experienced something where we had an actual understanding of our place in the universe, like a real deep, data-based, philosophical-based realization. And it feels like everybody else is talking about philosophy and no one is having the same realization. It is very rare for me to find somebody on the internet that I'm like, oh, I feel like they maybe had the thing that I did, that I went through. And I think it's because in many ways, like, when we lost our faith or we lost something about ourselves, we realized how significant it was. You know? Like, there is such a significance to losing your sense of identity in the world that lots of people can try to find it, but never actually, like, deconstruct it or go very deeply with it. And I think that I'm lucky that my special interest is sort of like, how deep can I go? How much more can I see? How much more can I understand about being a human? Listen to me when I say I'm happy to do hypothetical, philosophical quandaries that lead us to maybe interacting unethically in a hypothetical that we would never engage in real life. But more than that, I want us to understand that in our real life, it is imperative that we harm reduce as much as possible. We're not trying to be more good every day. We're trying to be less bad every day. And so if you do default go through the world, if Ethan and Destiny get to exist on the same planet we do, if Trump, Ethan, and Destiny get to exist on the same planet we do, and they wake up every day thinking they're good people, philosophically speaking, we're all animals on a planet. So, like, everyone's a good person. But literally applying you know, their lived action to the result of their action. Yo. So you can imagine, right? This feels a little bit similar to like when you're trying to break a generational curse in your own family. And, you know, you have like the family members who like make, you know, amends, they apologize, they make, you know, they do better. And then the family members who don't, and yet they're welcomed both to the banquet. It's like, man, what was the point of apologizing if I still get the perks of community? Now, you don't apologize so you get the perks of community. You have an embodied experience of change so you're safe for community. We want to be safe for one another. It's not just about how we feel about ourselves. It's about how we are as a community. These are two separate us. The us when we're alone and the us when we're community. And the question is, who is our community, right? And so when I see Destiny and I see Ethan and I see the community they create, it's obviously less healthy. It's obviously less good. Right? It's obviously less kind and compassionate. And then when I see other people create communities, I go, okay, there's like some goodness here. There's a wholesomeness here, right? Chat, I see you saying, is there a troll? I don't know. Is troll in chat? Is there a troll in chat? I'm not reading comments right now, guys. So you guys got to tell me. Let me know. Is there any comments I should answer before we jump into the receipts in the Do Not Worry podcast? Who like I said, I have been watching. So if you guys want to check out their channel, I'll link it right now. This was a good live stream. Discord said, just read this. Some readers even call Calvin and Hobbes a kind of philosophy in sneakers because it tackles the same themes as great thinkers, but in the language of play, humor, and imagination. Yeah, I love that. Your channel definitely has a philosophy and sneakers vibe. I love that. Vibes. Yeah, vibes. I think like for me, when I interact with all types of work, I am sort of asking myself, what can I learn from this? There are things I like as a Britney, and there are things that I like as a thinker. And these are two different things, if that makes sense. Maiden in chat says Calvin and Hobbes is literally named after philosophers. There you go. Love it. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, Do Not Worry podcast. Let's go over it. Ready? Oh, no, just trigger warning, girls. It's actually disgusting. I was so shocked. I'm going to put it at 1.2 speed. That's how we listen to things here. Okay, just like trigger warning. It's bad. I did not think Ethan. We'll get to it. I just do not understand how people have posted these things. Like, I do not get it. Okay, here we go.
Apparently someone figured out Ethan Klein's Reddit, old 15-year-old Reddit, and at this point we know that it's legitimate. He admitted to it on Instagram stories. If anything,
how's the sound?
Let's start with his Instagram story, kind of addressing the situation. And then, ooh, why is it flipped? Your shit's flipped. Let me flip this thing.
Wait, Chad says your stream was posted in the Don't Worry podcast or Don't Worry podcast Discord. Hello. Great podcast. This segment's really, really good. And I really appreciate that he went and did the work of finding all of these receipts and going over it. I watched it when it was live. And I just, yeah, I don't have the spoons to go through it myself because I'm so disgusted at what Ethan has posted. I'm so sick of these men. So I really appreciate Don't Worry or Do Not Worry podcast going over it.
Okay. Let's go ahead and read what he wrote, just so that, you know, there are no one's confused that this is legitimate. Make sure you guys can see that. So this was just posted on his Instagram not too long ago. My friends, I have a terrible confession to make. Yes, it is true. My 15-year-old Reddit account was identified by using a doxing website that lists a history of all emails and passwords that have been leaked in illegal data breaches. A post last night was made on the Snark subreddit by the person who obtained this information. With Reddit's help, this person was able to disseminate this illegally and maliciously obtained information to a community whose sole purpose is to harass me, my family, and my employees.
I want to stop right there. So right now he's doing like a sort of like I want to call it like a bid, not to affection, but a bid of like tugging on your heartstrings of like, it was 15 years ago. Oh, it was, you know, he's using that method of like, guys, 15 years ago. So Ethan's like 40. So this makes him in his late 20s. right? So just like process that information. Like process that information. And I understand I was a very unhealed person at 28. But yet, even in all my years of being unhealed and going through this process before therapy, I was certainly not posting these things on the internet. So this is an almost 30-year-old man, okay? Okay, so that's important. But he does this thing where he wants you to feel bad because it was 15 years ago. Yeah, a whole teenager away and you still didn't learn your lesson. See, and this is why I said Gila had a great opportunity to come out and say, guys, I was in the IOF. I served under a disgusting government. I raided people's homes. I did horrible things and I am so regretful. It haunts me every day. I work on it. You know, I would have loved to have seen her use her previous service with the IOF as an opportunity to, you know, to challenge herself, to make it clear that even a former IOF soldier is in regret, because that's what people did with the former soldiers who went to Iraq, right? Like they came back and said like, what did I do? That's a great question. What did you do? And I believe accountability, right, is a path to redemption. And we want to hold people accountable within reason because we don't want the mob to take justice. This isn't the witch trials, y'all. You don't want to be pitchforks and you know what I mean? You don't want to be pitchforks. Okay. So you want to be somebody who calls somebody out, holds them accountable, and gives them a path to redemption. The path of redemption does not allow them to have the life they had prior to being held accountable. Being held accountable means that you actually do show up in the world differently. That's how we know you've taken accountability. You change. So Ethan's saying, guys, this was 15 years ago. Yeah. But how different are you from that 15 years ago if today you is still making excuses? So listen to how he further makes excuses.
Why are they making this? Was it Snark or was it? I'm pretty sure this was Destiny's community that got this, yo. I mean, it doesn't matter, but like, why? I mean, it's old Reddit posts. How is this like illegal to find? I mean, okay, no, yeah. If the passwords were obtained in an illegal data breach, that is kind of fucked up. Like all of our information could be on something like that, you know?
Sure, doxing is bad.
In doing so, some terrible revelations were made. I think he's being sarcastic here. Yes, my account, username, pedotroll. So yeah, Ethan Klein's username on Reddit was pedotroll. As a contrast, my Reddit username is Dewey's Cox, like Dewey Cox from Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. It's probably my favorite comedy of all time. So like that was my name, and I couldn't. Dewey Cox was taken, I think, so I had to add an S. It was Dewey's Cox. But like, yeah, I wouldn't want to use the word pedo anywhere near any of my fucking usernames. Like, what the fuck? Even if it's a joke, even if it's Reddit. Oh, the whole point of Reddit was to be edgy. Yo, you want to call yourself pedophile online like that? That's on fucking you, man.
Exactly.
Hey, you do you, bro.
It's like, why would you even have that word in association with your brand or with your presence on the internet? Like, I don't get it. Okay. Now, Chad says this doesn't seem radically empathetic to Ethan. Now, I assume you are a troll. So let me just, let's make it clear what empathy is. Guys, empathy is having an embodied, like, ability to understand a person's experience. I'm sorry that I can't have empathy for Ethan in this situation. I've never done these things. I can have sympathy for the fact that a stupid man was on an internet being disgusting, and I can understand that culture formed him to be a misogynist because that's what culture does. But I also need to hold him accountable and say, like, yeah, I can't have empathy for you, bro. I have no way to relate to this. I have no way to have an embodied relation to this. Like, this is so beyond anything I've ever done. Like, I have nothing to connect to because it's so gross. Okay? But what we do instead is we process how we got here and how to prevent it for future generations. Those of you who are fucked, you're fucked. You made your decision. You've got to lay in your bed. But we want to prevent this for new babies being born every day, new young people on the internet every day. How do we make it so people do not become Ethan Klein? Do not become a Destiny. Do not become a Trump. What do we do now so our children do not become these people? That's the goal of especially this channel, is how do we do preventative care? Because Ethan's fucked, Destiny's fucked, Trump is fucked. Bye. You guys are fucked. The only people who can be kind to you now are your therapists and your mommies. Okay? So it's not our job. It's not the community you hurt's job. It's not the people you harass, dox, and sue. It's not our job. It's your job. It's your therapist's job. It's your mommy's job. It's not our job. And honestly, it's not even your mother's job. But God knows Ethan's mother is, anyway, I got things to say about his dad in this leak too. Girl, his dad is gross. I did not know Ethan's father was so disgusting. God forbid I ever catch my father being as disgusting as this man has been on the internet. I did not know. I did not process that Ethan's dad was such a loser, bro. What does they say? What do they say? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree? Okay, hello?
Whatever works for you. I think I am behind on some super chats. Veronica says, Demi, yes, BB, no. You know it, Veronica. Just some thoughts. Says, I'm a patron. Join us. Ooh, thank you so much. Just some thoughts. A patron and sending, you're too generous, too kind.
I can't remember if there's any super chats that might be interesting
Gene
for them.
Ellie says, thank you to my favorite podcasters with a $25
Okay, I'm going to
donation. So
word this a little bit.
W's in the chat for Gene.
W's in the chat?
So yeah, voice. Yes, talking about that, like calling himself a pedo. That's a choice. It's certainly a choice. Yes, my account username Pedo Troll made a few bizarre and edgy attempts at being funny.
My account username made a few bizarre... No, you made a few. Listen. My account username made a few bizarre and edgy attempts at being funny. My username was an AI bot, Ethan. It's you. You made these jokes. Oh, and just a few? Oh, just a few. Got it.
It was common on Reddit 15 years ago to create a thematically named troll account to post silly things from. The method was to have Redditors read something crazy, then check the username and realize it was a goof. You can see evidence of this on most of the posts made in...
Why would you do this, though, nearing 30 especially? Like, I get it. I get that there's an edginess to the internet that, again, every time I think I'm an edgy girly, I sit my ass down. I'm like, no, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm going to take myself home because I could never have crossed the lines y'all crossed just for an edginess. Like, I get we've all been on the internet. And millennials think they're the funniest thing that's ever happened since sliced cheese. But genuinely, the way this man has crossed the line 1,000 fucking times. That's what's crazy. So okay, why doesn't Ethan now say, guys, it was a disgusting time on the internet. I was a disgusting human being. I fucked up so deeply. And I am so fucking embarrassed you found these. I wish nobody ever saw them because I'm fucking mortified. Instead, it's, guys, it was just how the internet was 15 years ago. This is like Alex Hormozy. When he's like, if girls could get child married at 12 and 15 years old 100 years ago and they weren't traumatized, then maybe it's the way we perceive the child marriage that dictates the trauma. No, the child marriages were happening then are just as traumatizing as them happening now. This idea that like, oh, we were less traumatized back then. I used to believe this. When I was a more liberal thinker, I used to think people handled trauma differently until I got educated. And I realized like, oh no, they were traumatized. I used to think this when I was, well, dumber. You know what I mean? Less educated. Because it sounds really good, right? Like, well, back in the day, they didn't do this. Well, back in the day, it seemed pretty normal. And then you realize, because I have child marriages in my own family. And a lot of the way the family tells these stories is like, well, that was just how we did it. And then you kind of grow up and you're like, wait a second. I think I've been bamboozled. I think I've been bamboozled by traumatized people that can't cope with the fact that our child marriages in our family were just as fucked up as if they had happened now. That's the problem, is we really are taught to believe, oh, it was different back then. And then you realize like, oh, no, it's not. It's not different back then. And it can be, guys, so traumatizing to have the bubble pop and the realization that like, oh, like this sweet, cute story about my grandparents I thought was so cute is actually like the most disturbing story I've ever heard. And then it reshapes all of your understanding of your family history, every family gathering you've been to, every way you're like, every story gets shifted. Everything gets turned upside down. It can feel very scary to be extrospective. It is an incredibly traumatizing talk to a therapist experience when you realize like this family you thought you had that you were like, my family's great. Yeah, they have problems, but they're pretty great. And then you realize like, wait a second. So I understand how we might be in that position. I'm asking you to deconstruct that and realize like, I'm so sorry that the thing you thought happened before wasn't as impactful on people, but it was. And I need you to be able to grieve that, and we got to be able to move past it. Okay?
Character. These troll stories include anecdotes that clearly never happened, including a story that references my children who were born 10 years later. Further evidence of this is simply that I was self-promoting my YouTube channel while doing these parody posts. The perfect way to promote your YouTube channel, folks, is to pretend you're a pedophile online. Now, look, do I actually think Ethan Klein is a pedophile? No. You know what I mean? But I mean, hey, calling yourself pedo troll and trying to explain it, even like 15 years ago, it was common.
I would have said Destiny wasn't a pedophile, but here we are. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know what anybody is. I don't know what to believe about anyone, so I'm not going to stake my life on it. I think I'm always such a good, like, I always try really hard to really see what is true versus what I want to be true or what I think is true. I don't know, but I'm just like, I'm not going to hold any room for any of these men to not be something possibly, because at this point, they're not even doing themselves any favors by talking badly about their former self. You know what I mean? Just saying being a pedo is a joke is like, it doesn't explain why you did it. It doesn't explain what your thinking was at the time, you know?
Like, do any of you guys call yourself pedophiles on Reddit or something like that? Please let me know if you do. These troll stories, blah, blah, blah. Further evidence of this is simply that I was self-promoting my YouTube channel while doing these parody posts. I mean, maybe I should go post on Reddit and claim to be a pedophile. I knew I was personally identifiable the entire time. I was trying to be funny so people would look, trying to be funny is the key thing, I guess. You know what I mean? Trying to be funny. I was trying to be funny so people would look at my account and discover my YouTube channel. I was not ashamed of it then, and I'm not ashamed of it now. That's right.
I wasn't ashamed of it then, and I'm not ashamed of it now. This is it. No introspection. Absolutely no learning. No deconstructing. Absolutely zero wisdom. We do philosophy through pop culture here. We take real life, real people's lives and learn how to make our lives better. And I'm telling you right now, this is a life lesson. A life lesson of a man who reached 40 years old and has no ability to regret past action. Him and Destiny deserve each other. Both of them are nearing 40. I think Destiny is a little younger, but have no ability to regret past action. Just zero ability. This would be a therapist field day. Some therapist somewhere is salivating at the realization that they could be solving one of the greatest cases of man's ego right here with these two men who are fighting with each other when really they love it. I guarantee you, Ethan and Destiny are getting high off battling each other on the internet because both of them do this for a living. That's their dopamine seeking behavior. They've been doing this for years. They both have dopamine seeking behaviors where they literally fight with people so they can get that hit. And now they have it with each other.
Pedo troll. You are pedo troll and proud. Stand tall, pedo troll. You raise that head up high, pedo troll. Look at the stars. Don't look at the ground, okay? Of course, be proud of yourself, pedo troll. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I was not ashamed of it then, and I'm not ashamed of it now. That's right, pedo troll. Fuck yes. Embrace your pedoness, my friend. Embarrassed? Yes. On par with cringing at my old YouTube videos. 2, yes, there are a few posts of me being a Zionist Jewish supremacist, which includes me mostly arguing with someone calling Israel Nazi Germany. Oh, there's also...
Hold on. I think there are people here that are not part of my main audience. Hey, no R words in chat, no slurs in chat. Who is it? Who said it? Somebody said there was an R word in chat. Who was it? This one. Banned. Banned. No slurs in chat. Fucking losers. Okay? This is a good community. We're nice to people here, bitch. Just kidding. I gotta work on that. Should we say bitch? That's a whole other philosophical conversation. Bitch is a slur. We shouldn't be saying it. It's hard though. Language is listen, no one's perfect. We gotta talk about that. We really gotta have a conversation about that. But don't fucking no R slurs in my chat.
Some way more racist shit in there that we'll look at. In totality, about 95% of the posts were about StarCraft 2 or self-promoting my YouTube channel. I have nothing to hide and nothing to apologize for. And remember, folks, joking about pedophilia is not the same as having it on your computer. Well, I mean, of course, if this is a game of who's worse, Ethan Klein or Destiny, in terms of who's a bigger pedophile, again, I love that they're having a pedo off. Like,
they're literally having a pedo off. They're literally having a pedo off. Like, what?
I only called myself a pedophile, but he actually has pictures of minors on his computer. Anytime you find yourself in this kind of conversation, like who's more or who's less of a pedophile, you've already lost.
You've already lost.
I may have called myself a pedophile, but you actually are a pedophile. It's
Lord.
Like, yeah, they're both kind of weird. One of them is certainly weirder than the other and more fucked up and illegal. But like, don't be bragging about, I am proud to have called myself pedo troll, and I am proud of my pedo troll days.
Ridiculous.
On Reddit.
This is all I want. I just want somebody on the internet to be able to watch their old content and talk about how they did it wrong. Just as Brittany, you should start saying bub with the emphasis as bitch. Bub. Yeah, maybe. That'd be pretty funny. But like, listen, I would just love it because we do that on my channel. We go back and watch my old videos and then we review it. And then I talk about all the ways I was wrong. I would love if these men could do it and understand it and actually like embody it so there's a change. Like I want to see a significant change. I put out a community post, which is what inspired the comment we read at the beginning of stream to start this off. I put out a community post to new people and I just said, hey, welcome. If you're watching my content and it's if it's more than 6 months old or 4 to 6 months old, it's probably outdated. I am changing in front of you in real time. And I am probably like an example amongst others that are so significantly changing that it's confusing to an internet where Ethan and Destiny have been the same person for 15 years. Listen to me when I say this. Ethan and Destiny might have been the same person for 15 years, but some of us are changing. And we have literal proof of the change. And so like, if you think like I was the same Brittany I was 2 years ago, like you are deeply mistaken. Is there a lot of me that's the same? Absolutely. But there's a lot of me that's also different. When it comes to Ethan or Hassan, or not Hassan, sorry, there has been change in Hassan, but Ethan, not fast enough though, but I'm just kidding. Okay, listen. Ethan and Destiny though, no change. No change. That's crazy. 15 years and you haven't changed? That is insane. That's why we covered Repzion, to answer that commenter's comment at the beginning of stream. That's why we covered Repzion. 10 years and zero change. Actually, you've gotten worse. Actually, Destiny and Ethan and Repzion, I think, got worse. Like Trump, I think they literally have gotten worse. And that is kind of impressive, I think. Is that impressive that they're worse? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You know, Ultraviolet, welcome to memberships. Happy to have you here.
Those are classic Reddit posts. Kind of funny. Just some thoughts. Sends another £2 and says, remember, I'm Mud. I'm always confused. Mud, we love you. Myri C, folks, one of our favorite patrons and community members. Nogzolato sends a $5 and says, Ela also has a Reddit account. Both of them deleted it. Her Tumblr is gross. Regardless of it's a joke, it's still inappropriate. And Ian tweeted. Ian as in like iDubbbz? I'll check it out.
I don't know anything about that.
Common good. I would love to watch the Richie Torres and Adam Friedland interview. Do we have time where he's like crying about like, the pedo off is official and it's still ongoing? God, if Demi hears what I'm talking about, she's gonna judge me so hard, bro. It's gonna be so what the fuck are they talking about in there?
Haley, welcome to memberships.
Gotta pay the bills, folks. Oopsie. Schmoopsie. Well, I mean, you guys didn't see on YouTube. Okay, I don't need to talk.
I'm forwarding. Okay, hold on.
Destiny. Okay, first of all, I mean,
listen, look at Destiny changed his background to the Palestinian flag just to piss off Ethan Klein. Process that. Process how deeply unethical it is to mock a population of people that are literally being genocided. He changed his bio to Free Palestine. How fucking disgusting is this person? This is the most, this is what I'm saying, guys. I'm sorry. Do not let these men gaslight you into thinking you are ever going to be as bad as them. They are some of the most evil fucking people. There is just nothing about this that isn't deeply evil. This is so fucking gross.
I'm probably like the 1 millionth person to make that name, but like, why does he have a stripper name? Why does Destiny have a stripper name? And this is no shade at strippers. I'm just pointing out that he has a fucking stripper name, okay? Destiny. Like, that's so fucking cringe referring to someone, to a man, as Destiny. You know what I mean? Destiny said, what the fuck Destiny said, bro? Steven fucking Bonnell, bro. I'm sorry. So Steven said, Polish Pusher says, Mohsin's link is in the episode description. Is it? Please double check if it is. Dizzle McFizzle, who's been a member for 6 months, says, I remember hating Ethan for a great reason before I had good ones. Hey, I mean, look, I only hated him when I had great reasons. So, Destiny says, Destiny the stripper. Veronica says, just say no to PBD, please. Listen, Veronica, I need to get my blood boiling. Blood boiling? I need to feel the blood boiling a little bit, okay? I need to let out my dark souls.
Wait, are these stripper name comments? Oh, you guys are saying it's misogynistic for him to say stripper name? I think that's just a stereotype. Like Destiny is a stripper name. I think that's pretty common in boy bubbles, right? Like everyone makes that meme towards Destiny. Like, you have a stripper name. Yeah, using the Destiny as a stripper name. Yeah, that's very common. Do you guys know now? I can't tell if you're mad because you don't know the bubble or if you don't know stripper. It's like when my brother thought about naming his daughter Chastity. I was like, why are you giving her a stripper name? You know, it's like there's nothing wrong with being a stripper. But the name is kind of funny. He named himself after a video game. I think it's just a joke. But if you don't think the joke is good, like, I get what you're saying. Obviously, we're not anti-strippers here. We love sex workers. So yeah, I think he's just memeing on a meme that's fucking old as time about Destiny's name. But you guys can be upset about it for sure. You guys are allowed to call it out as misogynistic if you feel like it is.
Anger. So Stephen Destiny Bonnell said, Apparently, Ethan is still IG storying about me. His and Hila's old Reddit accounts were just found, literally posting vids from their H3H3 channel where they had less than 1,000 subs. Why is he so obsessed with making pedophile jokes and talking about being a pedophile? Is it seriously all just projection? So let's read one of Ethan's old posts. As Pedo Troll commented 50, and again, to be fair, this is 15 years ago, okay? We've all had cringy, shitty, tasteless, horrible social media posts that like maybe date 15, 20 years. Maybe not everyone. Hey, maybe not that horrible.
Hold on, I'm trying to move my picture out of the way.
So I mean, hey,
you guys are probably
let's just keep it honest. Jim D. Duker sends another 5 and says more cussing. I got you, Jim. God fucking damn it. Jim, I'm gonna give you a mix of English and Arabic cussing. So Pedo Troll says, 15 years ago, when you become an uncle, avoid the sexual tension that is inevitable between you and your nephew. It will be very exciting and enticing, but in the end, the stress that will result from this relationship will not be worth it. It is always best to get involved with children outside the family, with friends, co-workers, etc.
What the fuck? Why are men stupid? Why is this even funny?
Definitely trolling. Is it kind of funny? Look, I'm not gonna lie. This is funnier than anything Ethan has said in the last 2 years. Okay, Ethan has not made me laugh this hard in 2 years. I'm gonna say, and I chuckled. I'm not gonna lie. This is the first.
Listen, there is a difference between making a joke with your friends and family that you're like, oh, and then making a joke where you go on the internet, right? Or like have the joke. It's like everyone's trying to go as hard as possible, as you know what I mean. But again, it's like, why are you writing this on the internet as a man almost nearing 30? Maiden, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Guys, enjoy those memberships. Enjoy those memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you.
First time I actually read this whole thing. I mean, he's clearly trolling. Like this. When you become an uncle, avoid the sexual tension that is inevitable. But I mean, hey, look, do you want this stuff online associated to you? No. But is it kind of funny just compared to the shit he's doing now? I'm sorry. I'll take Ethan Klein making pedophile jokes rather than Hasbara podcast. Is that a hot take? That's pretty fucked up take. I've had a long day, folks. I've had a lot of anxiety today. Take it easy on me. Okay, if I have some bad takes, I don't know why this kind of made me chuckle. People are going crazy in the live chat. What's going on here? Zahra Mud sends $5. Thank you, Zahra. Very generous. Also, Jim, very generous of you. Fucking shit. Zahra sends $5 and says, what makes it even funnier is that Destiny's Nazi son could be referred to as Destiny's child. Oh my God, I haven't even fucking...
It's a little funny. Destiny's child, get it? That's the funniest thing that's happened in this last hour.
Thought of that. Destiny's child's a Nazi. Yo, that's so fucking funny. Zahra, that's fucking hilarious. And thank you so much for the support. Anthony Bensavengo sends another $5, says the only thing that people should call Destiny is some variant of Mr. Borelli. Exactly. Mr. Borelli, what's his real last name? I don't even know his last name, bro. Like, Benel. Dude,
Remember when he was on that podcast debating in favor of Israel over Palestine? That's what I mean. This man pretending he's pro-Palestine just to piss off Ethan tells you everything you need to know about these men.
Finkelstein. Crazy. Norm Finkelstein. I can't get Benelli out. Like I literally can't remember his actual last name. Fart Twain sends $5 and says there's one where he calls Palestinians monkeys among real Israelis. I'm sure AB will be nice and quiet. Also, Ethan was almost 30 doing this, not 18. Oh yeah, definitely. He's way too old to be doing this, to be fair. And I do have that post where he compares them to monkeys. I got you.
Gross.
Anthony, stop saying it's trolling off the bay. Not funny. No one finds it funny. I don't know. Incest pedophilia.
Yeah, it's not funny. Like, again, I think it's more interesting, the phenomenon of just like zoom out with me, not being Ethan, but being a person who's like nearing 30. You know how people are always like, you're 22, you're an adult, act like it. Well, obviously not. Like Trump was also not 18 when he was making those grab him by the pussy jokes. Like, it's not about your age, it's about your maturity. Why aren't people like, it's so funny that you're also the world wants you to reach these milestones like buying a house and having kids, but nobody wants to reach the milestone of maturity because you think maturity is success through capitalism. Like, maturity is having the wisdom not to fucking do this at all. Right? Like, I will admit I haven't been the most wise person throughout my life, but I certainly didn't reach 28. Oh, I reached 28 without ever having a Reddit name, Pedo, whatever, and getting on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing I think I can't figure out. Like, why do you go in this direction? Like, why do you go in this direction? You know? Ridiculous.
Guys, fuck, I shouldn't have laughed. I'm kidding, guys. Obviously, pedophilia isn't funny. I'm not out here making pedophilia jokes. Anyways, so that's the first one. Let's see some more pedophilia comedy.
Ugh.
Honestly, I think it's beautiful that they have such an intimate relationship. The mother's therapy doesn't have to be sexual at all. You people are the sick ones for making that connection. I hope that I can have such an intimate and open relationship with my children. I mean, that's pretty fucked up. You know what I mean? I don't know the context of this post. I don't know what he's replying to. Oh, okay, that's pretty fucked up. Here's another comment. And again, folks, a trigger warning. I'm sorry for the language.
Trigger warning.
A Negro child.
Can he say that word? Do we say that? I don't think we say that word anymore. I feel like that word is very derogatory. Like, I don't even know if he should be saying it even in this context.
Sure is elastic. Reminds me of when I stand in front of the mirror and twist my hips so my dick dances around in circles.
What?
Twist my hips.
This is so gross. This is so gross. That blank child shirt is elastic. This is so fucking gross. This is so gross. I almost want to be done. Do you know what I'm saying? Why are you posting this? And then just say, I don't regret it. And then just say, I don't regret it. Guys, this is great. Please listen to me. Do not let these boys on the internet gaslight you into thinking you are just as bad as them. So when Destiny goes, everyone's just as bad as I am. No, we are the fuck not. No, we are the fuck not. Okay? No, we are the fuck not. Do not let these boys on the internet convince you every single person is a piece of shit like them. No. Your community is not as, like, our community is all suffering. We are all traumatized, but we are not. Okay? We are not. Not everyone in our communities is as this, whatever the fuck this is. This is so gross.
Usually stops like he did too when it hits my 2-year-old in the face. Lol. He usually stands under me asking what I'm doing. I just tell him daddy is dancing. Lol. Okay, so this is way more graphic.
That is so gross. That is so fucked up.
That first one kind of made me chuckle because it was just like someone speaking in theory. If you were theoretically going to do something, it's best to avoid this and do that. I kind of chuckled. Now he's putting like, he's using, I don't know, like weird, uncomfortable language. And then he's putting images in your head of like, his dick smacking a child in the face. Like,
what the fuck, bro?
Demi's still not back. She's still not hearing what we're talking about in here. I'm glad. I'm thankful for that. This is disgusting, bro. Yeah, this is kind of fucked up.
It's so gross.
This is fucked up. This isn't funny, folks. This shit ain't funny. This is, I don't know what the fuck was in the water in the mid 2000s, bro. In the mid, like in the early 20s.
Not this. This was not all of our experiences. I was on the internet on GeoCities, minding my own fucking business on my MySpace. Okay? Though 15 years ago, I'm 36 now. Yeah, I was busy on Facebook with my friends. I was busy hanging out in real life with friends touching grass. Okay? Like, what? This is not a universal internet experience. You know?
2010s, and people thought that you could fucking say anything on the internet. I was a fucking child at that point, but like, actually no, 2010 I was 20. Okay, so this is pretty fucked up. That's the first one. There's more. There's a lot more, folks.
There's more, and I think there's worse. That wasn't even the worst of it, and that was pretty fucking bad.
But yeah, it's a bit too fucking graphic. The shit's a bit fucked up. Here's a video. Ethan talking about traumatizing a little girl in the bathroom with his wee-wee. What the fuck? Mao, okay, I'm done. Destiny's having wait. Who would have thought, bro? Who would have thought? Who would have thought, bro? Ethan's greatest ally in his war against Hassan was Destiny, and now they're fucking going at it having a pedophile off.
Ugh.
You can't write this fucking drama.
You can't write it. That's what I'm saying. Guys, you know how people are like, why do you talk about YouTubers? Guys, YouTubers are the world in a small bubble. Like, nobody cares about Ethan or Destiny in the real world, but the real world is kind of like an extension of them. Trump and Elon and everybody making fun of Zelensky for what he's wearing. This is YouTube, but on a global scale. Like, this is what I'm saying. The reason we cover YouTubers is because it's better than reality TV. The reality TV is good, but it is like a real, this is a real person's life. This is a grown man with children. Literally, we made him famous and rich. Why even I? Why do I participate in making the worst people famous and rich? We were with Ethan day one with his lawsuit, supporting Hila with Denny Fresh. We thought we made the funny ones famous. Nope, we made the worst people famous. Oh my God. Ugh.
Bro, what the fuck is this? Like, seriously. Okay, let's listen. Trigger warning, I guess. I've not seen this.
Oh, Lord.
Dirty burger. Anyway, I'm there taking a pee, doing my thing. And here in walks a little girl. I'm concentrating so hard on trying to pee that I don't realize that the door opens from the outside, doesn't go in. So I'm sitting here like spread eagle, room smelling like burnt pickle relish.
Ew.
And this poor little girl sees me like spreading my pubes like Moses. Oh. It's like an enlarged clitoris.
Ah! Okay, first of all, Chat said, I wonder what will happen when Ethan's kids grow up and see his parents' digital footprint. They won't care the way Ethan doesn't care about his dad's digital footprint. Ethan doesn't care that his dad, he had his parents on recently on stream. He doesn't care that his dad has a horrible digital footprint. So his kids probably won't care. because his kids will probably be like him. His kids would have to deconstruct from the way they're raised. We all have to deconstruct from the way the people who raised us and realize like, oh yeah, they're not like perfect people and they make mistakes. And also some of them are really suffering in a multitude of ways from their own ignorance, from their upbringing. But we have to understand, like, that's why we're open with boundaries. But yeah, Ethan's kids will probably think their dad is hilarious, you know?
Poking out of my pubic. Anyway, this little girl walks in. You can imagine the scene, like.
Chat says he talked about it a bunch in the past, saying how he finds him disgusting and hates it. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if he's still platforming his dad and his mom, talking about it like it's not a big deal. Like, if he hadn't recently had them on, that's one thing. But at the end of the day, like, having your parents on, do you know what I mean? Like my parents are religious, right? So they're homophobic and transphobic. I'm not about to platform my parents. You know what I mean? At this stage, with Trump in his second election, like, it feels irresponsible to platform your bigoted parents and be like, these is my mom and dad. I love them. Like, yeah, I love them. I don't think the internet should love them. Okay, that's my trauma in business. You know what I mean?
Like,
hey.
Oh.
Whoa, hey,
Bro.
hey.
Okay, so he's making it really graphic. He's like, you can imagine the scene. And if you can't imagine it enough, like what?
Hey.
What's happening? Should we continue this?
Is this safe?
Or no? Veronica sends 6 shekels and says, hello, it's obviously the name of a cult leader. DA.
Jeez.
Best if you can give me. Let's, I guess, finish this. Trigger warning.
Lord.
just spreading and like something like this. Like, here's her, spread and holding.
Oh my God, bro.
Pickle relish.
Yeah.
Like a jelly bean.
Look, it's important to see this just to remember the depravity that we're dealing with, folks. The level of depravity is unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
And these people should be revealed for what they are.
Ugh.
I hope you're proud. This is, by the way, he said he's proud of this. He said he is proud.
That's what I said. He said no regrets. Ethan literally said hashtag no regrets. Okay. Okay. Humility is what's missing. I always say I am learning to earn my wisdom and humility. Humility is key to introspection. Ethan holds no humility. Destiny, no humility. That's why they have no regrets. Because to have regrets is to have the humility to say, I wish I hadn't done something. I wish things had gone differently. I wish I hadn't made mistakes. I do have regrets. Now, obviously, our life ended up, my life as an example, ended up pretty good. So it is what it is. But do I wish I could go back and save people from making my decisions? Yes. Thank God none of them were pedo Reddit posts. My decisions were more like falling in love with the wrong people. If I could go back and convince you to break up with your shitty boyfriend, if I could convince you right now, girls, to dump your shitty boyfriend, I would. Okay, but it's your journey. You got to go through it. These men don't even regret it. They downplay the harm that they cause because they think they're funny. Yeah, I'm not laughing.
Of these posts, and Pedo Troll stands tall. Oh shit, what happened? Internet gone?
And me on stream, is my internet gone?
Sunflower Dragon sends $2 and says, nice to see you, Anthony.
And everyone's like, oh, what's that smell? It smells like a dirty burger. Oh, what's that smell? It smells like someone
Oh, Destiny. Yeah, Destiny. Veronica, I see that. It is the name of the cult leader.
didn't put the meat away. But it's sweet. One time someone was like, oh, what's that? Something smells good.
Remember that Dan guy? The Dan guy. I say that like I haven't met him. I have met Dan in real life because I had dinner with Destiny once. Don't fucking sue me, okay, bros? I met him on a weekend in Miami. Biggest regret of my life. Ugh. Anyways, we went to Miami to do a collaboration with everybody. Here I was thinking like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. Worst decision I ever made. Listen, I met Dan. So Dan got on the internet and he said, oh, don't you guys act like you're better than this. Like, wait till I tell people everything you've done. Reminder that when I burned the bridge, or Destiny burned the bridge with me because I called Destiny out, he said, does anybody have anything on Brittany? And I was like, no, bitch. See how he has everything on Ethan? See how his group worked really hard to find anything they could on Ethan? And I'm saying that's how disgusting they are. But that's because there's so much that they have on this. Like, they have so much on Ethan because he's been a cesspool. Also, Ethan has so much on Destiny because he's been a horrible blight on the internet. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, That's why I say you guys cannot compare Hassan to these people. And that's not me trying to defend Hassan. I'm just saying logically, if you in any way think you are a logical person, you cannot equate what Hassan has done to anything Ethan and Destiny have done. It is not, it's not analogous. Now, if Hassan gets outed as having a pedo account on Reddit, we can have a conversation, right? We can have that conversation. But that's why I say you guys have got to be able to understand the appropriate time to call people out when we're having a conversation about people who are pedophiles, engaging with kids, or making jokes about children. You have got to understand this. Chad says they just hold all the blackmail on each other. Oh, they do. Destiny talks about how he records every conversation. He saves every DM and everything, which is why it leaked, right? Because I made my video, if you guys are new to my audience, I made a video in November, I think of last year, just like wiping my hands of Destiny. I was in this bubble for a year. Hardest year of my fucking life. They were so exhausting. 2022 to 2023, so exhausting. I made my final video and I said, I'm fucking wiping my hands of this shit. He's fucking Lauren Southern. They had an affair, all this shit. By the way, I was backed by the women in his life, including his ex-wife. She DM'd me to say, hey girl, thank you for finally telling the story, because I was like too afraid to. And I said, I got you, girl. Because I understand that Destiny is a ruthless, believes in doxing, threatens Hassan Piker's life kind of person. It's scary. And now him and Ethan are battling each other, pretending that they're not the same person. Ethan, who doxes people, goes after people, sues small creators. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are the same kind of person. Do not let these men convince you that all of us are comparable. We are not doing the same shit these men are doing. We are not doing the same shit they're doing. And now with everything coming out about both Ethan and Destiny, at this point, it's like Trump. If you are not anti-Trump at this point, you are either willfully not paying attention or you are like not to be trusted, right? To some extent, you got to, same thing with Destiny, same thing with Ethan. I understand that there's still Ethan fans to this day, but how is this not enough for you? And if you're willfully not looking into it because you don't want to see it, I understand. I didn't look into it, but I was already anti-Ethan. But then I saw this podcast and I was like, uh-oh. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, like, I am willing to give you the time to figure it out and to do the research, but until you do the research, I can't trust you. And the same way, you guys have every right to feel the same way about me. If you introduce a topic to me and I don't have the spoons to research it, you have the right to stop watching me until I do. I need you to know you are allowed to not watch a content creator who isn't fulfilling what you feel is the moral and ethical obligation to research a topic. Okay? All right.
One time one of my friends said that. Oh, something smells good. I'm hungry. Anyway, this little girl walks in.
Oh, stop
It's
it.
a tiny bathroom, so you...
Apparently, the video, there's like a video that's twice the length of this one on Reddit. We're just going to play the 2-minute abbreviated version. Thank
Crazy.
you, Senior Destiny.
can imagine, like, she's face to face, like, with this genital holocaust. And she screamed. She's like, Mommy, it doesn't look like Daddy's.
Ew.
She ran out. She just ran out. And
Look, all these people that attempted like this hilarious, edgy comedy, like, it's kind of sad, man. And I mean, look.
And look, like Chad says, this did not happen. He's such a liar. Well, maybe it didn't happen, but the fact is like, and I get it. Like Gabby Hanna had a fake story era. Like a lot of people had fake story errors on YouTube. Fun fact, I had an idea, oh, this is so cringe, of making fake stories using movie lines to see who in the audience could pick out the movie lines in the story, but it was obviously fake, But these people told stories like they were real, but they were fake. That's what I'm saying. We are not the same. I was never meaning to deceive the audience, and I feel like they were. Because when I started watching Gabby Hanna way back in the day, I literally thought they were real stories. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Or yeah, Tana too. I was like, oh my God, are these real? But that's even worse. It's like Trisha Paytas. Guys, being a fan of Trisha Paytas now, listen, people have criticized me for being too nice to Trisha. I'm nice to everybody because I try to zoom out and humanize everybody, but that doesn't mean I can't hold you accountable. Trisha used every tactic of making herself viral and popular in order to become rich, and then got help, and that's great. But remember that Trisha got the benefit of being a racist piece of shit on the internet and still got the benefit of having people still vouch for her because she, quote, got better without taking any real accountability, in my opinion, for what they've done. And so again, like accountability to me is about turning around and doing the right thing, but I don't see it. So just like, remember that Ethan did the same thing where Ethan made a whole career making fun of women and their bodies, which, okay, and then became more liberal or progressive in his head, only to eradicate all of that, quote, learned behavior for this era of his life now, which tells me it wasn't an embodied experience, right? It wasn't an embodied change because you don't go back. Once you know, you can't go back. That tells me either you didn't know. It's like Alex O'Connor and veganism. Did you actually believe in veganism? Or did you just like the idea of what it sounded like on paper because you're a logic debate bro? Did you actually have an embodied experience of veganism? Because how could you go back on it if you did? I don't get it. Right? Okay.
I hope he's ashamed about this a little bit. No? Did he say he said he's proud about it? He said he's proud of it, but embarrassed. So, hey. Okay, you guys are going crazy in the live chat here. Excuse me. But to me, I kind of attribute it to stress too, because I can kind of, his tics when watching it personally, I don't know shit about the condition, what it is, because they are way worse now than they are before. I also, personally, I don't know shit about the condition and Tourette's. But to me, I kind of attribute it to stress too, because I can kind of tell. I mean, I've been watching him for a long time.
Yeah, like I don't like the ableism in the comments of accusing Ethan of cocaine usage, because at the end of the day, like a lot of people think they're good people, but you don't know what disability looks like. You don't know what neurodivergency looks like. Like you don't know the difference between an autistic meltdown and a white lady throwing a tantrum and calling her a Karen. You just don't know the difference. And I know you don't know the difference. And I see this time and time again. So like you should be very cautious before assuming you understand anything about someone's like mental health or like condition. It's okay to make an observation, but it's wrong to say with your full chest, like this is what's happening in a sense. Not in every situation, obviously. I do that too. But I'm saying like you should be cautious of assuming that Ethan isn't simply suffering from his Tourette's, which to him should be an indicator. So, okay, in this way, I would say to Ethan, hey, Habibi, like, if your Tourette's is being triggered this much, you need to take a break. Like, I have autism, I'm BPD. If I started having like a decline, I would do something to fix that. I wouldn't keep doing the behavior that triggers it. That's what I learned in therapy. Ethan is doing the behavior that triggers his symptoms of Tourette's. That's the dilemma. Okay, that's the issue, right? Okay.
When he is stressed and when he's talking about uncomfortable topics, he is way more, his tics are way more active than when he's not stressed. I don't know if it's like a medication or stuff, but like, I think it's definitely stress related, but also maybe with time and age. I'm not really sure. Dizzle McFizzle sends a 20. God damn it. Dizzle, by the way, got to witness me playing and dying a lot. Dusty man. Today was an off weekend or something. And I'll be much.
I'm forwarding it.
I know, right? Hila was filming this, right?
I was looking around the restaurant because I wanted to apologize to her and I wanted to explain that I don't want her to be growing up thinking that this is what she's got to look forward to, because God knows I can't have vaginal sex. No. So they were gone. They left. And actually a week later that restaurant closed.
Look, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, like the story, but it was just kind of disturbing.
Yeah, I don't get what any of this is.
Okay.
It's like a dirty burger.
You guys want more?
So now here we go. Ready? His dad.
Going after his dad. Okay. Demi? Don't judge me, baby. Okay. Now we're going after Ethan's dad. So Destiny's like, dude, I love how fucking shitty this is getting, folks. They're getting so low. They're rolling around in the fucking mud, slinging pedophiles.
And I want us to listen to me when I say this. I do not accept DMs. I'm very strict about who I collab with. Ever since I came out of the debate bubble with Destiny and his people, I was like, okay, I'm going to be so strict about who I collab with. I don't want to be a character in this show, guys. I just want to observe the show. Okay, we are the podcast that talks about the reality TV show. We are not characters in the TV show. I, with peace and love, am not covering this so I can become a part of the show. Do not drag me into this. I will not answer DMs. Okay, it would be very rare for me to answer a DM because like I am not about to get mud on this dress. You know what I'm saying? I'm not interested. And like these men have already tried not having it. Okay, I've already seen people try to drag me into shit. Absolutely not. And this is how you stay healthy and fit and your skin looks this good, because you don't get involved.
Accusations like you're the pedophile. No, you're the pedophile. No, your dad's the pedophile. No, your dad's the pedophile. This is insane. I've never seen anything like this on the internet. I have never seen anything like this on the internet. How can Ethan keep getting himself in fucking shitstorm after shitstorm after shitstorm?
And you should judge me if I get involved with these losers. Like, you should judge me. You should judge me. You should stop watching me if I ever collab with Ethan Klein. I'm telling you right now, if I ever talk to Destiny again, if I see this man in public and I don't turn around right away and walk out, you should judge me. It's that serious. You should judge me. You should fucking unsubscribe. Hold me to a standard, because God damn it, at what point do we just go abso-fucking-lutely not? Absolutely no grace given to these two men ever again. You're done.
Like, no amount of YouTube ad revenue is worth this, bro. Like, what the fuck? Anyways. Anywho. So, Destiny. The stripper says, oh, fuck, I see it runs in the family too. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. Bro's dad, the one who married / fucked the 16-year-old and birthed Ethan, the guy who makes so many pedo jokes, he has a Reddit account dedicated to them.
Ugh.
Out here literally making... Okay. Is it fucked up that I'm laughing at Destiny's tweet now, who is a...
Listen, I would find this funnier if I wasn't so fucking mad, but I can't find it funny right now because it's so fucking serious. But I think there's a part of us that laughs because it's so fucked up. I think I have that. Have you guys ever been lectured by an adult and you start laughing? I do that, but I don't want to do that here because I'm so angry. I'm not angry at anybody. I'm angry for the world. So philosophically speaking, we don't get angry at people. We get angry for people. I am so angry for people. I'm so angry for the way these men have targeted innocent people. I'm so angry for the way that the state of this particular bubble. You know what I mean? So I understand that if you laugh as a way to kind of like cope because it's so fucked up, I get it. But I can't laugh right now because for me, it's just like the same men that have the audacity to sit there on the internet and go after people for their morals and ethics. The way Ethan and Destiny have both so many times got up on their soapbox lecturing everybody about their values. They're disgusting, you know? Chat says, do you consider Ethan and Destiny bad people? I've heard you say how people are usually good, but I don't know how you would categorize them. So philosophically speaking, and you have to remember, I think we're all animals evolved on a planet. So I don't really believe in the concept of like bad dogs. I just think of a situation of like animals are animals and we're all animals. We are just like biologically creatures. So from a philosophical, macro perspective, I think that they are chaos bringers. And so there must be an order to the chaos, but I don't think that they're philosophically bad. Now, another way of looking at philosophically is like your philosophical evil to your philosophical joy. And they are obviously on the philosophical evil spectrum. But I don't mean evil the way normies talk about being evil because people don't even know what evil is, right? They're fucking over here having 6 fucking mistresses and saying they're good people. So when I think of evil, I think of working outside of the relationship with your joy, your harmony. So instead, I would say that on the micro, according to Brittany's values, they're bad people. According to Brittany's philosophical view outside of her own ego, they're simply animals on a planet. But in the zoomed in version of my values, like, yeah, they would be bad people. But I need you to know that my worldview isn't everybody's, nor is it the objective worldview, nor do I want to force people to think like me. So I don't make prescriptions, right? I am simply observing, and then I have to create my value system, especially if you're new to my content. Values are subjective. I created a value, open with boundaries system that allows me to engage with people and either write them off or engage with them further based off of how they fall on that scale of like good and bad. And then how to have a relationship with them. Because obviously, caveats, we're going to have a different relationship with friends, coworkers, family members, husbands, wives, partners, mothers and fathers. I don't have a one size fits all rule. I have everyone gets treated as an individual and has different, I meet everybody where they're at individually. So when I was in Destiny's sphere and we were coworkers and like light friends in the space, not like intimate friends, but like light friends in the space, I tried to be very empathetic. He would come to me with advice. I gave him advice. I said, you got to get a therapy. You got to stop cheating on your wife. You got to do things. I went to his wife. She came to me for advice. I said, you got to put down boundaries with him. If he keeps cheating, you got to leave him, girl. You got to do something. You got to get him help. I gave advice. But ultimately, it didn't become an issue until I publicly made a statement against him and he took it out on me that I realized, like, you weren't coming to me for advice to get better. You were coming to me for advice to seek like validation as like a person who gets to be on a journey. And so I want to make sure moving forward that I don't give these people a chance to come to me to hear advice that allows them to sort of be bad. So in my value system, you're bad. In the scheme of things, in terms of history, no one's going to remember you and we're a blip in the dust. So yeah, like those are 2 different answers. This is why philosophy is so hard. Because again, if I was to say they're objectively bad, I would be claiming something I don't think is true. And that is that we have access to the objective, right? So that's how you know this is a philosophy channel, girlies. Because if it wasn't one, I would just say they're bad and I would not have to caveat everything I just said, right? Chad says, do you have any recommendations for men creators that aren't sexist, misogynistic? I can't keep hate watching this stuff. I like, it's hard to say, it's hard to recommend people because again, you recommend them and then a year later something happens and it is what it is. But I watch Dr. Kirkanda. I watched Dr. K. Both of them are psychiatrists or psychologists, therapists, psychiatrist and a therapist. I don't think Dr. Kirkhand is a psychiatrist, but I think Dr. K is, right? Or no, they're both. Now I'm forgetting which one has the more formal, which one has which title. But either way, I watched them and they're both very helpful, especially when it comes to deconstruction and stuff like that. Dr. K is much more appealing to the boy bubble and trying to make men less misogynistic, but he does philosophy work, which is cool. And Dr. Kirkhanda is much more progressive and deconstructed and covers everything from an interpersonal perspective, which is nice. Some people said Sam Cedar. Sure, Sam Cedar's nice. There's a few people I'm sure we've watched, right? Chad says, Dr. K is so dismissive towards women. I don't know. I don't have that experience in watching his content, so I'm not sure what that is in regards to. His audience, remember, he is working with a heavily misogynistic audience. And so he is trying to move that audience out of that misogyny. So anytime he's even kind to a woman, his audience is mad at him. That's not, I think, Dr. K, that's his audience that he's trying to save from becoming like really bad men. So a part of me wants to credit him for going down to hell to try to save these men, because God knows. But I will say Dr. K has been also very sympathetic to Destiny over the years. And if I see him collab with him again, that will be it. But I haven't seen him collab or say anything nice about Destiny. So since everything came out. So my hope is that he wouldn't do that. And that's kind of why I pay attention to that, right? Chad says Dr. K is different from Dr. Kirkhanda. Yes, they're two different people. Yeah, they're two different people. Okay.
Literal fucking sex predator, bro. Oh, I hate this whole situation. But I also kind of love it.
I'm kind of concerned, too, that laughing over this is what helped Trump get elected, because the grab him by the pussy comments were like so funny to people because it was so outrageous. Do you know what I mean? And because it's so outrageous, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, is this what helped get Trump elected? Is this what helped get people elected? Is like the laughter. So a part of me is like, I cannot laugh. I can't afford to laugh, because when I laugh, you think it's not that big of a deal. And I need to make it abundantly clear nothing's funny about this. So again, I'm not here to like hold Anthony accountable in any more, like that's his business, it's his accountability. I'm just like the way that he brought over these receipts and covered this story, which is why we're using his video. But like, you have a right to feel a way about his laughter. But I also like want to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I also don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay. So I try to be as open-minded as possible without vouching. I'm not vouching for anybody we watch. I'm just saying like, I'll consider it, because I certainly don't think he's as bad, if at all, compared to these other men. Right?
Are y'all feeling shitty like me? Are y'all feeling just weird about this whole thing?
Yeah, I think he's just uncomfortable.
Or is it just me? This is confusing as fuck.
Yeah, it's fucking awful.
Oh, man. What an adventure this has been. What a whirlwind these past few months have been. Oh, my God. So, blah, blah, blah. He literally, I'm going to read this tweet again. This is kind of funny. Oh, fuck, I see it runs in the family, too. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. Bro's dad, the one who married / fucked the 16-year-old and birthed Ethan, the guy who makes so many pedo jokes, he has a Reddit account dedicated to them, out here literally liking thirst traps of his daughter-in-law on fucking sex.com. Oh, my God, bro. Okay, so Veronica, I guess, tweeted this image, says, yes, this is a shot of me mourning after some crazy night, I think, by my best friend roommate at the time. I was 17.
Ew, why are you posting this?
Gary Klein says, oh, my God, how gorgeous. Hashtag.
He was 21 when he got with Donna and Gary. Donna's Ethan's mom. I didn't know this until recently. She was 16, he was 21. And they were doing it. Donna says they were doing it. That's what I'm saying. And Ethan goes, oh my God, bro, like you'd get so canceled if that was now. No, you're still getting canceled, homie. You're still getting canceled, you know?
Zach still got it. This is making me kind of uncomfortable going through an old man's creepy Twitter likes, bro, and Twitter comments. But like, shit, Gary.
Ugh.
My God. What else we got? Caden Cross says, was just asked if I'm with the school. Gonna go home and change my clothes now. Gary Klein replies, please post pics in your Catholic schoolgirl outfit. My mouth is watering.
Bro, I would slap my dad in the back of the head if this was him. What the fuck are you doing, bro? This is ridiculous. And with his full fucking government name on his account. Disgusting. Y'all need to get your dads, bro. And I know you're not responsible for it, but at the same time, Ethan is platforming his father. So, hello? Gross. Ugh. Nasty, bro. Nasty.
Yo, I've watched a couple of episodes of fucking Families, bro. Like, I've seen the Families podcast just a little bit. It was honestly the worst thing they've ever produced. So that was one some H3 programming I was more than happy to skip. I found the...
See, I liked Families. That was the problem. I thought Donna was hilarious. I thought this was so cute. I loved watching Families. When I tell you, I know Ethan doesn't believe it. I know because people don't believe that they're fans, like people fall off. But like, yeah, I liked Families. I thought it was so much fun. And then you realize, like, oh, your family. I mean, I knew his family was a little fucked up because he talked about his childhood, but I cannot. I am shook.
Parents, like, just boring and kind of weird, and they're like extreme Zionists. But like, yeah, this is fucking weird. This is fucking weird. I don't know what to say.
Chat says, love Donna, dislike Gary. Can't love Donna anymore. She married Gary, stays with him, and supports him. Not that she has to divorce him, but like at the same time, like at the end of the day, like she's probably not far off. She's probably a Zionist. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it was fun while it lasted, but the world has changed. And I highly doubt she's keeping up.
Say, old man being a fucking creep online. Okay, cool. This is the weirdest one. So this is sex.com.
Ugh.
And okay, I don't know how they were able to figure out that like he liked this photo. So Gary Klein liked this photo of called sexy. I'm uncomfortable saying this stuff. You know what I mean? I'm uncomfortable saying this stuff. So Gary Klein, Ethan Klein's father, was on sex.com and he liked a picture called Sexy Ela. I don't even want to look at this photo anymore. Let's just close this whole tab. And I'd heard of that before, to be fair. I think I heard that like a few years ago. I can't remember where it was talked about.
Like, I'm all about supporting your family in their endeavors. But given his reputation, it's like, maybe not.
Was it on? Did they ever address it on the show? I don't think so, but like that is disgusting. That's like really fucked up. Have I missed any super chats? Let me go real quick. Noxolato sends 2 and says, don't look at Ela's gross Tumblr art.
Hold on. Chat says, do we know for sure this is him? Who cares? We know for sure he wrote the other fucking sick shit he did. Guys, you gotta stop caring at this point. Let's talk about it. So there comes this point where everyone tries to be extra careful, like, oh, but did he do this? But did they do this? At this point, it doesn't matter. If you know, at some point, we already know he did all the other sick shit he did. So doing one more thing that may or may not true doesn't take away from anything else, right? It'd be different if he did none of the shit and then it was a fake, or if he did one of the shit and then 10 of them were fake, we could have a conversation. But since he did 9 out of the 10, it doesn't matter now if the 10 is true or not. You know, but I understand the reflex people have to, because I used to want to do this. I used to want to show up on stream years ago and be so nuanced that I'd say, hold on, let's make sure we don't call people out for things they didn't do, which I agree with, except now that it's gone too far. So now we can't give people the benefit of the doubt of saying, well, look at all these things. Like, now it's too far. Ethan, Destiny, Trump, it's gone. Now it doesn't matter what good they've done. It doesn't matter how they reformed. It's none of our business. Okay? Like, that's the thing. I am all about nuance. I'm all about the gray. I'm all about making sure our facts are correct. But yeah, like at this point, they're so far fucking gone. They're so evil that like, doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck.
Disgusting as fuck. We've looked at that in the past, I think. We've looked at the old Tumblr art. Truth B7 sends $2 and says, insane to go after Hassan for bro tips with this hiding. I know. And Ethan is such a hypocrite. Half the time he's like, hey, it's unfair to go after people for stuff they said 10 years ago, and then he'll go after Hassan for a video he made 10 or 12 years ago. At this point, none of it makes sense. None of his points make sense.
Yeah, I agree. Evil people weaponize it against genuine people, which is why the theme of today is don't let these men ever convince you that you're as bad as them. These men are evil, and no, the world is not as evil as these men. Okay? The world is not as evil as these men. A lot of us are complicit. A lot of us engage in systems that are evil. But we are not directly complicit, and a lot of us are trying to fight against it. A lot of us are trying to change the system. Okay? So remember, like these men who are going to convince you, you're just like me. Don't even pretend you're not. Absolutely not. I will not take this. Thank you. I will hold myself accountable for all the shit I've done, but I haven't done none of that shit. Okay? So do not let anyone try to hold you to account, especially given who it's from. Again, even if they're holding somebody accountable in the right way, wrong messenger. Okay?
But this is disgusting. I'm sorry, guys. Like this is really fucking gross. Okay, there's more. So Ethan has officially wiped his account. He deleted pedo troll. It's gone. And again, he has admitted that this is him on Instagram. So there's no. So this is really fucked up right here. So this is extremely racist. Worth its own post. Ethan's discussing racism towards Palestinians. This needs to be spread. So here is the post in question.
Jesus.
That's the situation we live in.
Hold on.
It says Europe, and you see, monkeys evolving into men. Israel, you have men living amongst apes, monkeys, Neanderthals, essentially claiming that, the way I understand it, the way, it's meant to be.
Fucking hell, bro. It just gets worse. I don't even think we haven't even covered the worst part, in my opinion, yet. Maybe I'm just biased, though, because, it involves real kids. But, there's a post coming about real kids in a second here that I'm like, real children, bro? That's what I'm saying. Ethan's fucked up. That is so fucking gross. That is so fucking gross.
Interpret it is that Israelis are the evolved Homo sapien, while the Arabs, the Palestinians that live among them, are akin to monkeys. Unless Ethan is claiming that Israelis themselves are monkeys, or if he's referring to other, I know he has a thing against Hasidic Jews, so maybe he's referring to Hasidic Jews that way. I don't know, but this could very well be easily interpreted.
Chat says, Bray, what's the psychological of philosophical? Wait, Bray, what is the psychological of philosophical reason someone who is as heinous as Ethan can call out other people without reservation besides projection? Well, I don't know the psychological reasoning, but I can tell you that from my limited understanding of things, I'm assuming what's happening is what's happening to billions of people on this planet right now. You're raised in an environment with an understanding of what's okay. You cross the line to feel powerful and in charge and in control of your life, but you can't pull it back because if you regret it, you admit you were bad, but then you feel more free being bad because it feels like freedom. And then there's a cognitive dissonance between but I don't want to identify as bad. I want to identify as good, but I want to do bad things because I want to feel free, but I still want to be counted as good. That's what I think is happening. Where people want to feel in control of their lives. So they want to be able to be fucked up, but they also want to be able to get the credit, the social credit. And I think that is the cognitive dissonance that we have to process. It was when I called out Destiny and I said, don't get advice from Destiny. He's a serial cheater. He's a bad dad. And he's like, whoa, why are you making this personal? And I said, what? Even his viewers harassed me for 2 years. And they were like, Brittany makes everything personal. That's in my mind, that's not what making things personal is. He's on stream giving advice to people about relationships, using his parenting as a one-up on these red pillars, saying oh, I'm a dad, I'm a single dad. You're not a single dad, dude. You are not a single dad. And then he was like, why are you making it personal? Why are you going after my kid? I'm going after you're the one who's pretending you're a single. When I heard Destiny call himself a single dad, I was like, you are not a single dad. You are not. That's not what you did. And we know that now because his kid has literally said, my father's abandoned me. My dad is the worst person. That you're not a single dad. Okay. So the fact that I can call out Elon, but I can't call out Destiny, that's the problem. Okay. And but that was my naivety. That was my good faith going into a space that I was told was progressive and interested in philosophy. That was my bad for not doing my research. I should never have collabed with him without researching him. I should have never sent that email for a collaboration until I watched 10 of his videos or something, or until I watched deep dives. Now when a YouTuber DMs me, I go on the internet, I go receipts, drama, this YouTuber. So I can just know what is your problem? You know what I mean? What is the thing I have to worry about? Are the receipts credible? Are they not? Is someone just trying to take you down? Are you just a girl on the internet that the misogynists are coming for? Or you know what I mean? It's I think a lot of these men exist in a privileged position that doesn't force them to deconstruct, but they want to be seen as good people. And that's the problem. I don't want to be seen as a good person. I just want to be a good person. I would rather, this is a philosophical quandary. Would you rather be seen as a good person but be a bad person? Or would you rather be seen as a bad person but be a good person? I would rather be seen as a bad person but be a good person. But I think with Ethan and Destiny, they'd rather be seen as a good person and be a bad person. And that's the problem. I would rather the world think I'm the worst person on the planet, but I'm actually a good person. I would rather be burned at the stake like a witch because you guys are pieces of shit, then because I know, you know, I know what I do. I know my values. And I think so like just a reminder, the witches were not guilty being burned at the stake, but everyone thought they were. Yeah, call me a witch, bitch. Okay. Britt, why do humans have such a hard time owning our flaws and mistakes as humans? Like, wouldn't it be better to own all the parts of ourselves? Yes, but it's really scary because you don't know what's going to come after. It's really scary because it's like, I always hear comedians talk about this. Like, who would I be if I went to therapy? Would I be funny anymore? We really fear because, guys, we know we will change. That's why I say when you have an embodied experience, when you heal, you will become a different person. You won't be the same person. My own sibling hadn't seen me for like a couple of years. And I went to go see him before I moved to Europe because I live in Croatia now. He started debating me. And I was like, hey, why are you debating me like this? Like, why aren't you just talking to me like your sister? And he goes, what? You love debate. That's like what you do. And I was like, I don't do that anymore. He goes, what? I was like, I don't debate people anymore. I don't want to be like, I don't want to pwn you, bro. I just want to get to know you as my brother. And he was like, I don't understand. Like, people change. But if you're a person who's never changing, then you're going to assume everyone around you isn't changing. My own brother hadn't seen me. To be fair, we're not the closest. But like, he hadn't seen me in a while. And he was like, you've changed. I was like, yeah, dude, it's been a while. It's literally been a couple of years. I hope I've changed. So I think what's scary for people, right? What is the scariest for people is change in a direction that you can't see the result, the end result. Like, I always said this about Sneeko because I was so kind to Sneeko when he was in my sphere. I was so nice to him. And I said, you know, you could be someone really great and compassionate, you know, but you're going down a different path, right? And there could have been a chance for somebody to get through to that kid and could have deviated his decisions. But at the end of the day, he's an adult and he made his choices. And so he must be held accountable as an adult. But he wasn't always an adult on the internet. At some point, Sneeko was a minor on the internet. Ethan wasn't. This Ethan we're watching is not a minor. He is a almost 30-year-old man. I don't treat kids the same way I treat adults. I'm always nicer to people who are 10 years younger than me. Because I know being 22 is fucking hard. Being 26 is fucking hard, right? But eventually you have to be held accountable, bro. No matter what. And look, everyone can be held accountable, even 16-year-olds. But the accountability looks different. You meet people differently. That's the point. Especially as a grown-up who's trying to be an elder in her community eventually. When I get to 40, when I get to Ethan's age, I want to be like an elder in the community. I want to be like an adult, okay? I want to be somebody who gives people a path to redemption, but they have to be accountable. I don't want to be somebody who doesn't have the wisdom to give people. Not that I'll be wise at 40. God knows. God knows I won't be. And when I say God, I mean goddess. You know what I mean? But it is one of those things where like at some point, you don't have to deal with these people. Like I make a decision not to engage with these boys anymore because I don't know what their path to redemption will be, but it's not going to be through me. You know, it's not going to be through my tools. It's not going to be through the books I've read. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the ego part of the humility we have to put aside is like, we're not the ones. I don't know who's meant to help these boys, but like, they probably will die as they are. And we have to accept that. Which is hard because, you know, you come from a restorative justice background. You come from a progressive lens. You want to fix the system, but the system is a reflection of us. And you're just like, how do I help people? You help people by helping yourself. And you help people by accepting that they won't change. Because sometimes I think we waste too many spoons on people we hope will change. You know? So we have a lot to do here. We have a lot to do here. And I'll probably die unwise, right? I'll probably die at 90 and I'll be fucking unwise as shit. But hopefully I'll still be able to help from an elder perspective, not just a peer perspective or a homie perspective, but like, I want 19-year-olds to come to me for advice in the community, not because I'm trying to get laid like these fucking disgusting men, but because I'm actually trying to guide people in a better direction. Because remember, these men are fucking the 19-year-olds. And I'm saying, stop fucking the 19-year-olds, you fucking losers. That's the difference. Your elders in your community shouldn't be fucking the people coming to you for advice. Hello, focus. Justice Britt, as we talk about these men, how do women like Hila accept or ignore this behavior as a woman? I can't understand. Women uphold the patriarchy. Women are the greatest asset to the patriarchy. Women are the greatest asset to abuse. The women of my family are the greatest protectors of predators. The women in my family protect predators better than the men. They make excuses for their behavior. And I have the same default want in my own self where I want to assume people aren't as bad as they are. And I think sometimes they're ignorant. We're like, we want to believe they're not as bad as they are, but they are. You know, they are as bad as they are. It's really fucking hard. I have the same inclination to believe like no one's as bad as that, are they? They are. They are. You know? Yeah. So we have to call out the women in our family too. It's hard though, bro. Yeah, the internalized misogyny is crazy, bro. The internalized misogyny is crazy. Because we're naively optimistic. I'm so optimistic, bro. It's crazy. It really keeps me going though. I am so optimistic. I really believe in the good of people. I really do believe in the good of people. But I just think people are if they are not willing to learn, they can't be helped. That's it. That's it, guys. Open with boundaries. If you're not willing to learn and change who you are, it's not time. That's it. That's it. And I accept it. That's why I say, like, I don't try to save anyone from drowning. Okay? Like, I know you're going to pull me down with you, girl. I'm not going to do that. But if you show me that you're not going to pull me down when I throw you a life jacket, I'll throw you a life jacket. But there are other people who can use this life jacket. So I don't care if Ethan and Destiny, all these people drown. Like, you had your chances. They are so fucking privileged. These are literally millionaires. These are the most privileged people with the most access to every tool you wish you could have. The rest of us living paycheck to paycheck, we wish we had 10% of their yearly income to fix even the problems within our own family structure. Like, again, fuck these people. Fuck these rich fucking people who do not use their money for anything good and use all of their time to fucking harass people. Period. All right, back to the video.
And Ethan and Hila have said many things online, many a time, to suggest that they are at least somewhat Islamophobic. They called Ramallah a terrorist city. Ethan calls anything that is Muslim Islamic. Like, just the weirdest fucking comments he's followed. He's been a Destiny fan his whole life, and we saw what Destiny said about AB. I'll try to pull that up, actually. I don't know if I have that clip. Let's watch that.
Oh, yeah, and by the way...
but that's disgusting. I know how we're all going to be interpreting that, more than likely.
The H3 crew... oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. I just moved my cruiser. The H3 crew, all of those people complicit at this point. I mean, they've been complicit for a long time, but they are super complicit. Okay? So I know a lot of people are like, what about the crew? What about them? What about them? Complicit.
You saw what Destiny said about AB. I'll try to... Okay. But that's disgusting. I mean, I know how we're all going to be interpreting that, more than likely. Let me just find... There is a tweet of Destiny essentially just like making fun of AB for being a Muslim. I'm sure you guys have all seen it at this point. But I think it's important to highlight. So I have a lot of things in this. And then DMs that I sent to Noor.
Chat says, I heard Love might be locked in because of his work visa. I'll say this. I'm not going to make a prescription. Pause. I am not making a prescription. There comes a point in every one of our lives where we make a decision to stand on principle, regardless of the consequences. The question is, when is that going to be? Okay? When is it going to be? And you have to make the decision for yourself. When are you going to make the decision to stand on principle no matter the consequences? And this is the hard part, by the way. Bonnie Blue, her mother said that. Bonnie Blue was infamously banned from OF for wanting to do basically a disgusting rape simulation thing. And her mom said, you guys would spread your legs if you were making $1 million a month. Yeah, I am a sex worker, so I'm not bashing sex work. But even I have limits about how I engage with the sex work because I do ethical sex work, okay? So no, not everyone engages, again, in unethical behavior just because of money or status. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you, Brittany, sit down in a room and write down your values and say, when situations occur, how are we doing this? My partner and I do this, okay? If Amazon gave us $1 million for me to stream and I had to promote Amazon, which I do not shop at and I'm boycotting, would I take the money? And we decided as a family, no. Right? I know a lot of people say, yeah, but like you're only saying that because you're not offered the money. Well, okay, maybe. You know, I've been offered opportunities, not in the millions, of course. But like it's one of those things where But the idea is like your values, your principle. Now, do we all, you know, live under capitalism and engage in shopping in places that aren't the greatest? Absolutely. You have to make the decision, though. I am not making a prescription. I do not believe in objective morality. I am making an argument, a philosophical argument, that it is the challenge of your consciousness to know where the line in the sand is. The hardest part about being a good person is actually doing the thing that matters when life gets hard. It's easy to think you're a good person if you've never been challenged. The question is, how do I know I'm a good person if I've never actually had to make a decision? And the question is, at one point, is your life giving you a decision to make and you're either making it or not making it? It is hard. It doesn't happen overnight. So I'm not going to make a prescription on whatever person's situation. I'm just going to say you need to sit down and you need to decide, okay, how far is too far? Because it's the same argument, Peter. Ethan, it's me, Jordan Peterson. And just remember, the Nazis, they didn't even want to kill the Jews. They were victims of Hitler's regime. Ethan, listen to your daddy, Peterson. The Nazis were just young boys. They didn't want to gas up the Jews, but they had to, influenced by my man Hitler. Okay, signing off, Peterson. Listen, Peterson says this about the Nazi soldiers, which might be true for some of them, that they were pressured, bullied, told it was patriotic. Doesn't matter, you still killed the Jews, bro. Okay? Same thing with our own military soldiers from America. Yeah, I know you were doing it because you thought you were being patriotic, but you killed a lot of people in Iraq. You killed a lot of people in Iraq. You know? And by the way, a lot of my family, because we're from Iraq, they were pro that Iraq war, and they even served in the military on purpose as interpreters at the time. So you want to talk about the struggle of being a person in the world, is having half my immigrant family that's pro-Trump and half the family that isn't. Half my family voted for Trump. Make it make sense. You want to talk about cognitive dissonance? My own immigrant family, most of them are literally immigrants voting for Trump. Okay? It's really difficult to stand on principle. Chad said, Brett, under survival, which we can argue most people live under capitalism, it's hard to self-actualize. When we hold grace for people who do bad things on these terms and hold them accountable. Wait, when? When do we hold grace for people? Everyone is accountable, even if you're in survival mode. But the way you're accountable is different. Example, okay, I used to steal food when I didn't have the greatest amount of money, okay? I was struggling. My mental health was everywhere. I used to steal food, but I had a rule about how I could steal food. I worked at a grocery store. I could steal food that was out of date. I could steal food that was going to be thrown away. I could steal food that were in sample cups. I could steal food that, I'm trying to give another example, but something along those lines, like it wasn't going to hurt anybody in the long term, something like that. I gave myself permission. I said, fuck it, you're not eating. They're going to throw away this food. Eat it. And I gave myself that permission. It is legally stealing, and had I been caught, I would have been fired. What I don't support is taking fresh fruit off the shelf. What I don't support is like stealing things that are unnecessary, like video games. What I don't support is doing things that aren't necessary. And at the same time, I'm not going to judge everybody for where they are in life. Like if I saw a person walk out with a bag of diapers, like I don't know. It's not the greatest, but I didn't see nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things where I put rules in place for myself about what I should do. You're going to have to do that for yourself. But I try to harm reduce if I am in a bad spot. I tried to harm reduce as much as possible. Now I'm privileged. Now I have enough money to pay for groceries. So now if I went in and stole that food, that would be kind of weird. Because like I don't need to anymore. I already have money. So if I was to steal the food now, I would be held accountable differently. Right? But hear me out. Okay. We shouldn't even be in a position where people working full-time with 2 jobs are stealing food. I was working 2 full-time jobs. Well, actually, I guess at that time I was working 1 full job and 1 part-time job. I was working full-time though, and it wasn't enough. So we shouldn't even be in a position where people who are working full-time have to contemplate stealing food. And that's the system's fault. Now, how did I end up becoming not that person anymore? Well, I went to therapy eventually. I did my philosophical work and I recalibrated my understanding of my place in the universe. I radically accepted that I'm an animal. I figured out for myself my point of existing, my joy. I realized like I am going to have to make more money under capitalism. How do I do it ethically? I did figure out how to be better, right? And it took a long time, took like 30 years of me figuring it out to really get to that point of where I moved from survival to living. So we meet people where they're at. We meet people with compassion and with love where they're at. And then we hold people accountable differently. Okay? It's like I have nothing nice to wear to a funeral, come anyways. Or I have something nice to wear to the funeral, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, well, that's privilege and you're deciding not to engage with it by dressing nice. Now you're disrespectful. Okay? We meet people where they're at. We don't hold everybody to the same standard. We can't. We have to hold everybody to the standard that makes sense for where they are in life. There are certain things we have to, no matter what, hold people to a standard, like being a pedo. Okay, that's kind of like, hey, we got to hold people accountable. But let's have a conversation about why people normalize child marriages in cultures like my own. Okay? Okay? West Asian culture full of child brides. Why? Patriarchy. Misogyny. Perversion. Men raised under patriarchy. So we have to, understand from our own backgrounds, how did my West Asian family come to the conclusion that they would romanticize, well, being homophobic. Okay, you imagine I come from a family where my parents say gay people shouldn't get married because what about, child marriages or pedophilia? And I go, excuse me? Do we need to go over again family history in this family? Do we need to go over how many child brides were in this family? They can live with the reality where they get to be homophobic and transphobic because they want to protect kids, but they can't hold anybody accountable for marrying those kids. Remember that. And they're Catholic, so it's even funnier. They're a Syrian Catholic. Oh, those people play the biggest victim card ever, and at the same time, so bigoted. Love them. Love my family. But oh my God. Kind of crazy, right? All right, back to the video.
Haven't hit puberty. I actually want to fuck women, or I actually want to fuck little girls who have hit puberty but are still under the age of consent. If they haven't hit puberty, I actually want to fuck women, or I actually want to fuck little girls who have hit puberty but are still under the age of consent. That's my preference.
I would have more respect for the defenders if they were just like, yeah, cool with it.
Okay, someone said, Ethan, you shouldn't exaggerate the destiny claims. Okay.
Well, yeah, of course, but that's because you support 9-year-olds getting fucked, right? Isn't he Muslim or whatever? So your opinion is obviously not very relevant here. Thank you, dipshit.
You shouldn't exaggerate the destiny claims. Okay, so I'm making this.
Oh, he said AB because AB's Muslim. That like, oh, of course you're like siding with Ethan because you think a 9-year-old should, because, okay.
If they haven't hit puberty, I actually want to fuck women, or I actually want to fuck little girls who have hit puberty but are still.
Let's hear that again.
Someone said, Ethan, you shouldn't exaggerate the destiny claims. Okay.
Well, yeah, of course, but that's because you support 9-year-olds getting fucked, right? Isn't he Muslim or whatever? So your opinion is obviously not very relevant here. Thank you, dipshit.
So he said, well, he supports 9-year-olds getting fucked.
Yeah, the Islamophobia is so tired. Chad said, I'm so sick of the Islamophobia. I'm just so tired of it. I'm so bored. I'm sick of misogynists talking about, I'm sick of, especially these atheist misogynists talking about the misogyny in Islam. Hello? Y'all are like so misogynistic. All of you should be friends. What are you talking about? I hate when other misogynists bash on other misogynists to prove how not misogynist they are. Girl.
Isn't he Muslim or whatever? So his opinion doesn't matter, dipshit. So that's what he thinks of Muslims, essentially. He thinks that any Muslim supports, children getting effed the way he says it. And he has just like complete disregard for the Muslim faith. He looks at them in disgust. And Ethan said that this person inspired him to make content.
I am anti all patriarchal religions and I do make fun of all of them. But actually, I stopped making fun of Muslims and focused more on Christians because Christians started to think that it was cool to make fun of Muslims without making fun of themselves. And I was like, oh, no. If we're going to make fun of any patriarchal religions, we got to make fun of Christianity because that's the dominant power in America. And that's the power that's the power. Like, we don't punch down. Punching down on Muslims doesn't make sense. But when I was an edgy atheist years and years ago, it was always very common to make fun of Muslims. But then I realized, I didn't want to make fun of Muslim people and be Islamophobic. I wanted to make fun of patriarchal religions. And then I realized these white Christian men, or Richard Dawkins saying I'm culturally Christian. I'm culturally Christian. You're culturally Christian? You spent your whole life talking out against being a militant atheist, talking about Christianity sucks. And now you're so afraid of Muslims that you're like, I'm culturally Christian. Jesus Lord, bro. Muslims are just like Christians, y'all. They're literally the same people. They're all Abrahamic religions. They're all literally homies. Jesus is literally a prophet in Islam. They're literally all cousins. This is so Cain and Abel coded. You can't be more afraid of Islam than you are Christianity. It doesn't make any sense. I know you think it makes sense, but it doesn't.
So can you imagine what Ethan and Hila really think about Islam, the way they talk about it behind closed doors at home? Hila was in the IDF. She volunteered to raid a home in Ramallah in a terrorist city. So we know how these people think. So I just wanted to mention that and show that video as just extra context that it is not crazy to think that Ethan refers to or thinks of Muslims and Arabs as monkeys and apes. So yeah, very fucked up. To many walking straight up in the lower, and so Ethan Klein called this meme accurate. He says this is accurate, and that's the meme. So pretty fucked up shit right there. Nothing to see here, folks. So this was something that Ethan wrote in defense of Israel. So Lil Bro was arguing for Israel even 15 years ago. Hassan should honestly pay me for this Oppo research. I mean, look, honestly, Destiny has done more damage to Ethan in like 3 days than Hassan has been. No, actually, no, Hassan has been able to do some stuff. Like this was hard hitting. Okay, let's read this. Again, I haven't read most of this fucking shit. So Pedo Troll has to say this. Well, I don't know anyone who was a slave, but friends of my grandparents were able to compare their personal experience of the labor camps with Gaza. What? Palestinians are not treated as subhumans. Why don't you come to Israel instead of repeating talking points that honestly you really seem to know nothing about?
Okay, wait, no, sorry, I wasn't. Hold on, I was looking at chat. Well, I don't know anyone who was a slave, but my friends' grandparents were able to compare their personal experience of labor camps with Gaza. And then, so is this pedo troll is quoting somebody else, and then Ethan says, "What? Palestinians are not treated as subhumans." I was just talking to a friend about this the other day. How much of like American propaganda do you forget is propaganda? Because sometimes I take things for granted, as we all do. We learn something and then I go, wait, is this propaganda? Wait a second. Wait, I'm saying this thing like it's totally normal, but hold up, is this my bubble? So, okay, if you're new to my channel, we talk a lot about how we all live in bubbles. The internet will use it as an insult, like you need to get out of your bubble. Guys, we all live in bubbles. We are all limited by our perception. I have a bubble, you have a bubble, I hop into different bubbles. So right now, as an example, we're talking about the Ethan Klein bubble, the Destiny bubble, the Do Not Worry bubble, and my bubble. And all of our bubbles are overlapping right now, right? You guys are all coming from your own bubbles to share your perspective. And together, the world is all one big bubble of humanity, but we're all limited by our perception. That's what a bubble is. It's a perception. All right. And our goal is to go from this to this to this to this. So we have the most understanding, right? All bubbles are good. All bubbles are bad. I make my own bubble at home. It's a beautiful bubble. It's the best bubble. I love my bubble. It's my values, my relationship with my partner, my kitty cat. Like my whole life is here and I love it. I love my internet bubble. I have this whole bubble here with my community. It's a great bubble. I have my YouTube chat bubble. I have my Discord chat bubble. 2 different bubbles. Okay? 2 different conversations, kind of different vibes. There is nothing wrong with being in a bubble because there's nothing wrong with having a relationship with perception. The dilemma is when that perception or that bubble limits you from being compassionate, being thoughtful, looking outside of yourself, and not realizing the world doesn't revolve around you and your bubble. Okay? Nothing wrong with a bubble unless the bubble is bad. And then we got to talk about, ooh, you got to pop that bubble, girl. Pop the bubble, girl, because that bubble's not serving you anymore. Pop it and go to a different one or make a new one, right? Okay.
Out.
So Ethan here is like this bubble guy, right? He's got this bubble concept around Palestinians. He has an Israeli understanding of bubbles. He has a very like specific understanding of what happens in Gaza and Palestine. And that's his bubble perspective, right?
There are reasons for what the Israelis do that are more complex than what you may see as genocide or hate. Come to Israel. Talk to an Israeli. You have no first-hand experience and no knowledge. Talking points. Come to Israel and talk to a Palestinian for that matter. Can you imagine? You know what I mean? Like imagine anytime you criticize a country, come here. Come see for yourself. Come. The only way you...
P.S. I'm in Europe and they have given out travel warnings if you're gay not to go to America. My partner's like, you're not going to America. They're going to round you up and put you in a camp. Bro, think about that. I have siblings that are gay in America. I'm like, bro, you need to move out, bro. You need to figure it out. Okay? Shout out to Croatia. The president just announced he wants to recognize Palestine as their own state. Free Palestine. Let's go, Croatia. Let's go. I'm so proud to be here, bro. I'm so patriotic today, okay? I'm so patriotic. Anyways, Europe is giving out travel advisory warnings, okay?
Well, no, if you come here and speak to one of us, you must come here and speak to one of us. It is the only way. Like, bro, no, I'm sorry. There's a lot of credible research online, history to refer to, that I don't need to go speak to a brainwashed Hasbarist to know what's up. The Palestinians are not treated as subhumans. Why don't you come to Israel? He says come to Israel. Let's count how many times he says come to Israel. Come to Israel. 1. 2, come to Israel. You have no first hand. Come to Israel. 3. He says come to Israel 3 times in one paragraph. Because the only way for you to brainwash you is to make you walk around Tel Aviv. Oh, look as a tourist. Look, we have an H&M. You like Lush. They make the soap bomb. You throw it inside the bathtub. It starts bubbling. Yes, we have one of those here. You also like New Balance. We have the best New Balance shoes right here in Tel Aviv, my friend. Come here. You like falafel? I will give you the best falafel. What else is there? You like Cold Stone Creamery? Cold Stone Creamery. They don't have small, medium, large. They have like it, love it, gotta have it. It's so funny. I love the American culture. Come here. Come to Tel Aviv. So,
should we all go to Tel Aviv? That was a joke. See? Not a good joke because we're not going to go there. See, that's the other thing. Like, in the past, I would have loved to have seen Israel and Palestine and gone through. And now I'm like, I'm not going to Israel. Everyone's like, oh my God, come to Israel. We have an amazing pride. I was like, oh my God, I would love to do pride around the world. But now, how am I supposed to have pride in Israel now? Do you know what I mean? Don't pink wash this for me, girl.
that's how they get you. You know what I mean? Ashley sends £2 and says, get him, girl, free Palestine. Hell yeah, Ashley. Much love. Thanks for the donation. KMA sends $5 and says, worse than liking it, he saved it to his Pinterest as sexy. Oh, that's what that was? He saved it to his Pinterest? Oh, that's disgusting.
Great.
But that's so fucked to have all this shit about your family online.
Honestly, we just watched an SBS, Australian public TV episode, and this girl's stepdad literally subscribed and was her highest donator on OF. People are crazy, bro. I don't know why we keep assuming humans are so great. Like, we are so great. We're so not great. We're like, we are animals. We're in a non-derogatory, in a scientific way. We're literally just an evolved little species, like a fish. We're like a little fish. We got legs. And now we're on the planet and we're like, goop, goop. And we're just sitting here like fucking our offspring, doing crazy shit, throwing up a genocide like it's so casual on a Friday. We really give ourselves too much credit. And then sometimes I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit. Okay, here's a reminder. Give yourself more credit than you deserve and realize you are not as bad as these fucking losers. Because holy shit, they will try to convince you. And yet, we should remember, like, people are not that great because look at these two fucking losers. Look at these people in a position of power who are rich. Look how the internet made these people rich and popular. And then tell me the world is not a reflection of us as a whole. Listen to me when I say we are in this group project together and we're all about to fail together. Because even though we're pulling our weight, the majority of people are not. That does not make us better. That just means we're on a different journey. And all we can do is hope that other people are influenced and become a little bit better. But I swear to God, it's like we try to hold ourselves so accountable in ways that, like, these men can't even regret. Ethan can't even regret the racist post he made 15 years ago. He can't even say, I regret this. He said, oh, I'm embarrassed about it. Sir. Okay? Sir. It's crazy.
Fine, man. How fucking embarrassing is that shit? That's so nasty. I wish I didn't know that extra detail that he saved it to his Pinterest.
They're talking about Gary Klein, the dad. I'm going to afford it.
Referring to, like, reference like Muhammad getting marrying like a young girl. I don't know the details, but that's the common thing that people say. It was like that guy who was harassing the dude who worked at the food halal stand in New York. Hey, isn't it true that Muhammad liked to sleep with little girls? It's like, bro, the guy's selling fucking hot dogs. Leave him alone. Joette says, I'm too good at the Israeli accent, Lamau. I mean, guys, I'm just trying to have...
Chad said, he says, I'm not ashamed, but embarrassed. What the fuck's the difference? Okay, fun fact. For most people, I think, or at least for Ethan, ashamed would be like a deep... Okay, so shame is when you feel the wrath from the bubble, when you disappoint the bubble expectation, and guilt is when you've betrayed your own values. Okay, I learned this in my therapy sessions. I really liked this. So I have a different standard for when I feel shame and when I feel guilt, because I'm feeling the consequence of not living up to a standard either I have posed for myself or the outside. So he might not feel ashamed. He might not feel guilty, right? He might not feel any of that, but he might feel embarrassed that, like, people think like they caught him. Like, embarrassed, bashful. You can be embarrassed that somebody thought you had a good singing voice. Like, embarrassed, like, oh my God. So he's like embarrassed, like cringe, but he's not actually ashamed, right? He's not feeling guilty about it. He's not feeling like, he can't even say, I regret. And that's what I'm saying. You can't even say you regret, my bro. What lesson is this? You know? Chad says guilt as a shame, a result of shame. Maybe you could, I mean, obviously, if, let's say you did something and the bubble's like, yo, why'd you do that? You could be like, yeah, you're right. Why did I do that? My values say not to do that. You could have shame that's triggered, or guilt that's triggered by shame. That could be something, right? Chad says, did you see the skit Ethan posted about exposing himself to a little girl? Ugh, yeah, it was disgusting. It was fucking, that was a rough watch, bro. Yeah, we watched it earlier. Fucking gross. Gross. Okay, so listen, We already are raised in a culture that's shameful. We don't want to shame people, guys. Shame doesn't work. I really don't believe it works. I don't believe punishment works. I don't believe shame works. I just don't believe in it. Instead, I believe in holding people accountable via values. So you should feel a sense of guilt when you've done something that's contrary to your values, right? But then you have to sit down with people, and this is why I love philosophy. What is ethical? So society. What is moral? So personal. Okay, ethics are for the world, how the world should function as a community, and morals are for your own sense of value. So like, what are Ethan's values and how are they impacting the world in an ethical way? Okay, so he's not impacting the community for the better, so he's acting unethically. He's not impacting his own life beneficial, like he's not benefiting in his own life, so it's immoral, right? The question is like, does he even know? Can he start to deconstruct and tear this apart and really go line by line of like, when you feel bad, should you feel bad? Will you feel bad in the future? Will you feel bad? Let's say if his kids do grow up and say, Dad, what was up with that? You know, but most of us don't. Listen, how many of us have boomer parents that double down on all their bad behavior? I don't know why we think Ethan's going to be different. You know? Ethan is all of our boomer parents that are going to double down on all their bad behavior. And that's how it happens. Listen, this is why I say this about Hassan, which is not related to this topic. But I say if Hassan doesn't keep deconstructing, he's going to become our conservative parents. Tess says, do you wear wigs? Will you wear wigs? I was thinking that in my head. Could you tell? Could you tell I was thinking that in my head? I was literally thinking that in my head. Oh my God. But like, I say this to everyone, especially men. Because you have to understand, if men are Hassan is a millionaire and he's handsome and he's in a position of privilege, he's in the most difficult position to actually deconstruct. Because what benefit would he have to deconstruct if he's already so popular, if he's already so successful, if he's already so loved? Look at these YouTubers working so hard to get normie media to love them. See, this is what truly makes me wonder if you're progressive. If you're progressive, but normie media embraces you, you know what I mean? Hassan is way too fucking loved by the media for me to not feel a way about his activism. That doesn't mean he's not doing good things. And it doesn't mean he's in any way as bad as Ethan and Destiny. They're not even in the same bubble. They're not even in the same bubble. Okay, he's light years ahead of them. But that doesn't mean compared to other people that he's not going to fall into the trap of kind of what actually happened with Philosophy Tube, right? She became a Star Wars actress. And then she started to not speak out about Palestine as actively or vocally. And her audience was like, oh, it's because she doesn't want to lose her job. But wasn't that the whole point of becoming independent? Wasn't the whole point of being an independent content creator is that you wouldn't have to be silent because you wouldn't depend on it? So it's kind of like, it's a whole thing. You know, it's a whole thing. All right, let's go ahead. Go back to the video.
Just try and have some fun. I like it. You like it, love it, gotta have it. Is the Cold Stone Creamery. Okay.
All right, we get it.
Here in Israel, with Cold Stone, we don't use.
Okay, we get it.
Palestinians living in Israel are not shot and killed in the street. They are not harassed, abused, etc. They are integrated into society on almost every level. I live in Tel Aviv.
Almost every level? Ooh, Palestinians living in Israel are not shot and killed in the street, guys. They're not harassed or abused. They're integrated into society. Almost at every level. Almost? Why are you Palestinians? Palestinians?
I live in an Arab neighborhood. All of the shops in my neighborhood are owned by Palestinians. I work and live next to Arabs, Palestinians. I have Palestinian friends. There are laws that discriminate against them. Yes, and I do not like that, and I want it to stop. But okay, so he's already admitting that there are laws that discriminate against Palestinians.
Literally, he literally just said it.
That means they are not equal. You just said it yourself.
Gay people, guys, gay people are not being killed in the streets of America. They have jobs. They have kids. Not that I want them to. Gross. But, you know, no one bothers them. I mean, do I dream of it sometimes? You know, trans people, they're mentally ill and they have jobs. It's like, do you not listen to the way you're having the conversation? Like, are you not listening to the way the conversation is going? Like, these people will get up here and be like, I'm not transphobic. It's okay if they're mentally ill. It's like, hold on, pause now. Oh, hold on, pause. Ma'am?
You can try to sell me all the bullshit that they live. Go ask a man in Gaza how nice their life is. Go ask Palestinians to walk down certain streets that are closed off of them, my guy. Okay, there are streets in Palestine that they're not allowed to fucking walk down, man. That you're allowed to walk in, the tourists are allowed to fucking go whole fucking neighborhood. Most of the country, to be honest. People in Gaza aren't even allowed to leave fucking Gaza. But like, stop trying to make it see. He's always trying to sell you this dream of a multicultural fantasy. There are countless videos online, bro, of Arabs fucking complaining of their fucking lives in Israel, man. What are we talking about here? But so there are laws that discriminate against them, yes, and I do not like that, and I want it to stop. But try and see the reason for why Israel does it, and it may be a start of understanding that can actually solve the problem. Just try to understand why we're racist. Try to
understand. No, Chad said it perfectly. Ethan has the same talking points as Netanyahu. Come to Israel and see how beautiful it is. That's why it was so fucking offensive for him to be like, I'm going to take the crew to Israel to show you guys how beautiful it is. Not the way Hassan talks about it. Crazy.
Understand why we discriminate, and then, maybe then, we can enjoy a nice, gotta have it cup of Cold Stone Creamery with local Israeli biscuits.
Right, biscuits.
Under the Tel Aviv sun.
Crazy.
Says, what the fuck is this? You do nothing but spit hatred and ignorance. Nothing you know or think can be used constructively to help the situation. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you, Pedo Troll. Wow, very enlightening. The guy's name is literally Pedo Troll, and he's like, but like seriously though, you don't even understand Israel the way I understand Israel.
Klein, man from Los Angeles, who's been living in Israel maybe for like a year and a half at that point, who understands the region and its history and its people. The people more than anyone. Thank you, Ethan.
By the way, this is why patriotism is bad. Because this is why nationalism is bad. Patriotism is a marketing campaign done by governments to convince you to love your country no matter how shitty it is. It sells you a dream. Everyone thinks their country's the best. You know, that's the problem. You know how Americans think people are always trying to sneak into America to leave their, quote, bad countries? When people just want to go back home, Palestinians just want to go back home. Migrants just usually want to go back home, okay? It's very rare for people to leave their home countries and never think about going back or having an affection for it. Most people very much struggle to immigrate. Immigration is really fucking hard, you know? It doesn't happen for all people, you know? And I still have family in Iraq. Not everyone wants to live in America, guys. Like, my parents like it, and I'm glad for them. But I still have family in Iraq because just because it worked for my parents doesn't mean other people want to leave the home they were raised in for all of those years, you know? And I think there's just like a danger to patriotism in this aspect. And I used to, listen, okay, you guys know, maybe you don't. I grew up really conservative. I was a Republican when I was a young person, okay? And I understand the way that the patriotism made you believe that talking bad about America made you a bad person until you realize like, oh, they don't want you to talk bad about them because they don't want to be held accountable. Same with your family. You know, they don't want you to talk about the family problems because they actually don't want to be held accountable. Okay? Chat says, it's funny to think you're doing a good job at defending your country when you're literally called pedo troll. Great representation of Israel, pedo troll. The greatest citizen of Israel ever to be had, pedo troll. A great representation of the average Israeli, pedo troll. Yo, stop.
God bless you. So yeah, Palestinians living in Israel are not shot and killed in the street. They are not harassed, abused. They are integrated into society. Remember that, folks. And the next time someone tells you a genocide is going on, you tell them no. Pedo troll wrote on Reddit 15 years ago that
Ethan would say the genocide wasn't happening 15 years ago. That would be his rebuttal. There wasn't even a genocide happening. October 7th hadn't even happened yet. That's what Ethan would say.
Palestinians living in Israel are not shot and killed. They are fully integrated into society. Yes, there may be some laws that discriminate against them, but please try to understand why we discriminate against them. And then, maybe then.
Hey, true. Chad says change comes from dissatisfaction. That's the problem. When you're comfortable, why change? Or if you think you're only uncomfortable because of other people like Ethan, you won't change. See, Ethan is so uncomfortable. But instead of realizing it's him, he's like, it's everybody else. Okay, so philosophically speaking, zoom out with me. Hear me when I say this. You might not be ready. It might trigger you, and it might not be what you want to hear. I promise you, all of us, it's us. Yes, there are forces from the outside, systems of oppression, horrible governments, all of the things. But so often, we are Ethan. So often in our life when we are unhealed, we are Ethan. We are so dysregulated. We are so upset. And we just think it's everybody else. Okay? That doesn't mean, and this is where I need you to really put things into categories. Be very autistic with me today, because that's what I do when I think about problem solving. Which ones are Brittany's responsibilities and which one is outside of my control? Which one is within Brittany's control? Which one is outside of Brittany's control? Okay, I want you to really, because you are probably being burdened. The world is burdened with so many things they cannot control. You need to control what you can control and then figure out ways to chip at the other stuff. So what I do is I make a list of everything that's my direct responsibility, and then I make a list of everything that is out of my control, and yet things I can maybe chip away a little bit at a time. Okay? And then realize, like, okay, I got it. So, a chat says we were never that bad. Is this a test? I'm not saying, Ethan, I'm not saying Ethan, we are equivalent to Ethan's attitude. We're saying the dysregulation in his body is a universal human experience. So Ethan is having a dysregulation within his body. His biological experience is going haywire, right? His Tourette's are triggered. He's overly anxious. He's got a little bit of paranoia. And instead of like saying, hey, maybe it's something I'm doing, like reading Reddit posts or engaging in the internet or not taking a vacation, he's like, it's all of you. All of the people who are criticizing me, it's you. It's Frogan. Frogan is the reason Ethan is dysregulated. And instead of blaming Frogan, maybe consider it's how you're engaging with Frogan. Is it really Frogan? Is it wee bit Frogan? Is it wee little Frogan? You know? And that's the hard part, is like, that's why he couldn't hear Dr. Kirk Honda's advice when Dr. Kirk Honda's like, you can't read about yourself on the internet, dude. It's a horrible, like, thing. Don't do that. Even Joe Rogan doesn't do it. And we don't even like Joe Rogan. But if Joe Rogan can't do it, how would we do it? Like, you don't do it. Don't read about yourself on the internet. Except I will say, I do love the way H3's community talks about me, because they're angry at me for exactly the reasons I want them to be angry at me. You know what I mean? I do kind of like the way they hate me, bro. Because I'm like, thank you. Like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the Lord's work, okay? I feel like when people hate me and it coincides with my values, I'm like, yeah, you should hate me. Like, if you hate me for being pro-Palestine, then yeah, hate me, bro. Or if you hate me because you feel like, oh, Brittany's like too critical of men, I'm good with that. What hurts my feelings and makes me pause is when people hate me for reasons I'm like, no, whoa. Hold on, wait. Don't hate me for this reason, though. Wait a second, girl. Let me do some work. So if people I respected or people who have views similar to mine were like, Brittany's not it. I'm like, oh, what did I do? Wait, pause. Let me think. Let me think. Hold on. Because maybe I am doing something wrong. Chet says you're getting H3 fan haters. I am. I'm finally getting some fucking... The people who have hated me the most on Reddit are Destiny fans and Ethan fans. And huge flex. Huge flex for me, bro.
We will have a beautiful day under the Tel Aviv sun. Okay, what else? Pedo Troll says, when I read stories about how Gaza is a death camp and how it is being deprived of essentials and about ethnic cleansing, this statistic comes to mind. The average life expectancy of people born in Gaza is 73 years. That doesn't sound like Nazi Germany or apartheid South Africa to me. This fact alone speaks volumes. Am I correct in thinking this? If not, please explain. So this person says, China also has a life expectancy of 73 years. Do you think everything in China is smooth sailing? Look at the living conditions, not the life expectancy. That's like saying the BP...
What is this? Why are people arguing the life expectancy? Except now I think in Palestine it's like 43. So what are we talking about? But why are we even talking about this? Like, oh, the life expectancy. This is such a boy way to argue human life. The dignity of human life is not to be argued with the life expectancy of like, we're not racist. Look at the life expectancy of these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate when men argue about human life. Men are I'm sorry, you're so reductive, bro. You're so reductive when you talk about the dignity of human existence.
Dude, all these people are fucking propagandized to shit.
Yes,
that's like saying the BP oil spill doesn't because of how much water is on the planet. Israel is systematically breaking down the Palestinian people in a variety of different ways.
Oh, damn, this person was,
2010. They aren't just going to outright gas a bunch of Palestinians. They would if they could. They must use a much more...
Which they do now. Isn't that crazy? Whoa, 15 years ago. They aren't just outright gassing a bunch of Palestinians. They would if they could. And now they are literally starving them, bombing them. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Delicate strategy, starvation, segregation, and outright murder. Okay, this guy's wrong about China, but they're right about Israel's tactics. Then they say, meanwhile, Muslims throughout the world are doing that to everyone. Religion is awesome. Okay, this person is saying that Muslims are doing that. No, that's not true. But anyways, Pedochol says, I don't know if China is smooth sailing, whatever you mean by that.
You know what? China's a new one I have to look into because I'm so American propaganda. I have so much propaganda from America in my head about China. I don't know anything about it. A TikTok is convincing me that China looks pretty fun. But also, I will say that I don't know anything about China because all I know is what America's told me and I can't trust them now. Not that I ever could, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know any. That's another American propaganda we have to deconstruct. What is China really like? What's going on in China? What's up with them? I've heard they do little exercises in the parks. And I'm like, that's kind of cute.
But I also don't compare Chinese living conditions to ghettos in Nazi Germany. China has actually relatively good standards for most of its people, healthcare-wise, from what I've read. So I don't think this is a fair comparison. Okay, so actually Ethan was based on China 15 years ago, but now if you mention China, he loses his fucking mind. Oh, you're a fucking tanky. Ethan, you were a tanky 15 years ago. Look at you.
What? It's a cult? Chat said, no, it's not cute. It's a cult. I thought it was an exercise club for old people. It's a cult? I thought it was a cute place for old people to exercise. I thought it was cute. I'm so innocent. You guys ruined my TikTok feed. I thought it was a cool place. I thought I was like, oh, old people are getting out and exercising. Damn, bro. Rip. See, I don't know. I'm just an innocent little girl. Okay, I'm just an innocent girl.
You praising China's healthcare system. It's kind of funny. So I don't think this is a fair comparison. You are comparing the second most powerful country on earth to Gaza. So I don't really.
Also, I just want to remember that if men are in charge, it's a horrible place. So wait, hold on, pause. Let's zoom out. It doesn't care. I don't care what country it is around the world. If men are in charge, it's a shithole. That's the shithole. That's kind of racist now because Trump made it a racist term. But I don't trust men to be in charge. If there's a patriarchy in motion, if men are in charge, I just know it's bad. Okay, it's gonna be transphobic, homophobic, misogynistic. Okay. So I'm just going to say this right now. Every country has its problems because it's run by men. And I don't mean because you were born a man. I mean because you were raised as a man under patriarchy. But also, that doesn't mean if that's the case, then every country is like the other. Like people always ask me, like, is Croatia better than America? Everywhere has its problems. So it's just about what is going to benefit you over other people, right? So I think that's like what's really important is like where is a better place to live? Well, everyone, it's just a matter of what you want your problems to be. That's really what this is about, you know?
To your point, this is an outrageous statement you made. It's 2010. They aren't just going to outright gas a bunch of Palestinians. They would if they could. Variety, FTFY. I mean, no, Ethan, like that is actually that is the most accurate thing that person said. It's 2010. They're not just, when people ask, but it's not a genocide. You know, they're not like, yeah, what the fuck do you expect them to do, bro? It's being fucking live streamed. They're doing it as delicately as they can. And even then, they're fucking, like, it's, you know, I'm kidding by the word delicately.
It's so horrible, though. The way we so casually, like, that's why I'm so proud of Croatia to wake up to the news today. The president is supposed to is trying to recognize Palestine as its own state. It's so important, but I can't believe we even have to do this paperwork in the first place to stop this genocide. I can't believe in order to stop a genocide, we have to play some political game with paperwork. This is why I hate politics. Politics does not care about your life. It cares about winning. This is why I like philosophy, because philosophy challenges the sanctity of life. It challenges our way of being, our way of thinking. It challenges systems. That's why they like to kill philosophers. You know what I mean? But I cannot believe we even have to file paperwork before we stop a genocide. Crazy.
Goddamn. Yeah, no, this is Ethan. Pedo brain is Ethan. Oh my God. That's so fucking scary.
A little bit.
Ganja gremlin and your gremlins. Oh, right? What happened to the pedo jokes? Dizzle McFizzle sends a $5 and says, one day Palestine will be free and we'll be able to visit the Levant and see all the wonderful people there, inshallah. Man, I can't tell you how much I want to fucking visit. You know, it's so close to us. They're literally our next door neighbors. I would fucking love to go and see Palestine, but I would never set foot there the way it is now. Unless,
wait, isn't Anthony Lebanese?
Like it's somehow magically be teleported to the West Bank or Gaza or something.
Hold on, he's about to say it, I think,
insane
right?
that I can't go to my nearby neighbor. Plus, it would be illegal for me as a Lebanese person.
Yeah, he's Lebanese. Megan was Lebanese from Queer Ultimatum. Shout out Lebanon.
Even legally allowed to set foot in Israel. Israelis aren't legally allowed to set foot over here. You know, unless it's covert operations or diplomats or whatever. So yeah, so more racist stuff. What else we got? It's not even over, folks. Apparently, Ethan is still IG storying about me. Okay, no, so we've read this one. We've seen this. Jelty shared this. I know it's a joke posted in R Funny and he didn't have kids and we can't joke about CPS and shit, but what the fuck? Let's read this.
Wait,
so this is again a pedo troll post from 14 years ago. Vintage, folks, vintage. 14. This is a 14-year-old Reddit post. So would you like to smell it, please? Put it in the decanter so I may smell this 14-year-old vintage Reddit post. Oh, yes, please. Pour me a glass. Okay, so once I was at the park with my grandmama and we were walking over a little river with a stone walkway.
Trigger warning. This one's weird, guys. Trigger warning.
Well, she was feeling chipper this day because she decided she wanted to leap over one of the stones. Well, she slipped much like this guy, except her body was too frail to handle the fall. She broke her hip and her head just sat back in the water because she couldn't sit up. I run to pick her up, but it was too late. She drowned. Sometimes now I take my kids through the same park and something comes over me. I force their head into the water to recreate the scene with my grandma and I hold their faces until they almost drown and then take them out. Part of me feels that I'm trying to relive that memory and save her. And I'm afraid that one day I will drown my children too. I'm afraid to even read this because like the YouTube algorithm will think I am promoting harming children. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? I don't regret anything I said, he said. Ethan's like, I don't regret anything I've ever said. Girl, yeah, how is Hila okay with these posts? Again, women uphold the patriarchy. Women marry these men every day. Melania's married to Trump. Like, at the end of the day, behind every fucking loser man is a woman. Remember that. You know, remember that. Remember, behind every fucking perverted piece of shit man, there is a woman.
Saying the internet works in mysterious ways.
Even if he's gay.
What the fuck, Ethan? Like, how is this even funny? Like, I don't get these edgy. Like, for example, I'm a huge fan of James Gunn. I'll be honest with you guys. James Gunn, director of Superman, Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. Love the guy. He made some weird jokes in like 10 years ago, 15 years ago that he got canceled for. Like, I also read some of those. Like, some of that shit. Like, why? When were these jokes ever a good idea? Again, I never thought he should have been fired from Disney. Love James Gunn, huge fan. I really look up to his work actually. But you know, some of those jokes were just like kind of fucking weird. It's the same kind of dumbass fucking jokes. Like, what is the point of this? Bad Pierogi sent 5 do not worry memberships. Thank you so much, Bad Pierogi. Pierogi, does that mean you are from Czechoslovakia? Is that where pierogies are from? Thank you so much. W's in the chat for Bad Pierogi. Who is, are you also a cousin of the Bad Empanada? Is the Bad Pierogi a cousin of the Bad Empanada? Is that what is happening? So yeah, disgusting. I mean, horrible fucking story. Dark. This isn't even like pedo stuff. This is just like talking about, fantasizing about harming kids. And then he goes after Jake Chinatown from Twitter for like,
what?
Whoever fucking said, someone mentioned like bashing Ethan's kids against the tree, which is horrible. You know what I mean? But like, you've also said horrible things about your own kids, man. Your own theoretical kids before they were born. Now young Theodore is gonna have to read this, Ethan.
Is this like he's gonna be like, oh, I was working on a short story actually. I was working on my edgy humor. Like, what was the point of writing this? Like, what was the point of it? I don't get it.
Poland. Pierogi are Polish.
I just don't get it.
Confused. I know that Robert from
I'm gonna skip.
And yes, folks, I like Shark Tank.
Okay, this is the one that disgusted me the most. For me personally, this is the most disgusting fucking shit I've ever fucking seen. Like, not literally, but basically from, I cannot believe Ethan wrote this. I cannot believe he wrote this. Are you ready? Oh my God.
Do not judge me, but I used to like Mr. Wonderful. He's half Lebanese, but he's a fucking piece of shit.
Same. I do love my capitalistic Shark Tank days. You know, these capitalists are evil, bro. Mr. Wonderful's evil, bro. I had a soft spot for him though during the show. I always have a soft spot for some level of bluntedness. But they're all horrible.
Shit, Trump supporter. Probably a Zionist, I don't know.
He is. He's the worst. Mr. Wonderful's the worst.
Okay. So what is this? Holy fucking shit. Ethan Klein, what the fuck was wrong with you, bro? Malia. Okay, so Ethan had a Twitter account too. Pedo Troll had a Twitter account. Oh my God, dude, he was fucking prolific, huh? So Pedo Troll said, Mr. White House, Mr. President, would you send Michelle, Sasha, Malia through TSA screening? Naked photos or invasive genital groping? You choose. What the fuck?
What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? What? What is this? Mr. President, would you send Michelle, Sasha, and Malia through TSA screening? Naked photos or invasive genital groping? You choose. What? Like, what? What is this? What is that? I would be mortified. Like, I would be so fucking mortified to just post this. What are you posting this for? Just says, what is the context? I mean, does it matter? Does it fucking matter? He's adding the White House. He's sending Barack Obama a tweet. This is Pedo Troll, November 16th, 2010. White House, Mr. President. He's just tweeting at Barack Obama. What?
Fuck. Dude, that's so fucked. Destiny says, holy fuck shit, Ethan Klein, what the fuck was wrong with you, bro? Malia.
But Ethan, I mean, Destiny is so evil here. Destiny is so evil here. Like, he himself was not bragging about how hot 15-year-olds were, or the fact that he didn't have pictures of them, or the fact, like, Ethan, I mean, Destiny is out here pretending. I know, Anthony's going to make that caveat, but, like, Destiny is out here pretending he's any better. No. He's not any better. You know what I mean?
Was 12 years old. Sasha was 9 years old. What the fuck kind of humor was this? Are you okay, bro? Again, let's just keep in mind, yes, Ethan was making fucking sick
here we go.
jokes. Destiny actually does contact teenagers for sex. So let's also just keep that in perspective.
Just keep it in perspective.
We enjoy all of the disgusting stuff that he's bringing to light against Ethan, just because, you know, that's always a good time. But let's just keep in mind that he's actually a criminal. So, yeah, this is also fucking disturbing.
Ugh, gross.
Ooh, folks, everybody, saddle up for a moment. We're getting a history lesson by Mr. Jim D. Dukers, the activist from the Reagan days. Thank you, sir. History lesson. U.S. President Grover Cleveland was 49 when he married a 21-year-old. He had been her guardian since she was 10 years old after her father died. Oh, that's some fucking Woody Allen shit. God damn.
Gross.
That's
gross. The amount of men who just raise little girls to marry them is atrocious.
That's some Woody Allen stuff right there. Being someone's guardian as a child, and then when they're of age, marrying them, that is the ultimate form of being a predator. That is, oh my God, bro. That's so fucked up. Who was that again? U.S. President Grover Cleveland. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Fuck Grover Cleveland. I'm sorry. He might have signed some great things into law, but that man was a creep.
Gross.
That's disgusting. Okay, folks. After that little history lesson pause, thank you, Mr. Jim D. Dukers. What else we got?
So fucking degenerate.
Okay, so so we got a couple of clips and then we're done. Destiny thinks Ethan Klein might be more degenerate than him. If you let's watch.
There's no
this.
way. Like, if you listen, if you're fucking degenerate. There's no way. Like, if you listen, if you want to think I'm a creepy degenerate, then fine, then fucking hey, go for it. But my brother in Christ, okay, we are two peas in a degenerate pod.
Okay, so this is a weapon Destiny uses, and I think he's right to use it to Ethan, but don't let him use it against you. Don't let him use it against you. Don't let Ethan use it against you, because that's what they try to do. They try to say, you're just as bad as us. No. You two are as just bad as each other. We are not, none of us are you. And that's the difference, okay? Because I know there are people in my audience that are sitting here probably thinking like, I got to hold myself accountable. I got to do all this stuff. You should hold yourself accountable. But just remember, we are not doing the same shit these people are doing. And yet I feel like we're going to beat ourselves up more because it matters to us. And I know this is an autistic person who like her sense of justice is so fucking strong that I'm like, oh my God, like you have to remember, like they are not even thinking about that. Okay. So I don't want you to allow these toxic men to convince you or me or any of us that like, oh, you're just as bad as us. But this is a tactic they use. And that's why I was like, what are you doing, bro? So yeah, Ethan and Destiny are two peas in a pod for sure, though.
And I think you're lower on the rung there than I am. If that's seriously the thing you want to go. Like, the most embarrassing part for me putting all this video together was I might have actually been out-edged by this guy, okay? I thought.
And by the way, like Sneeko's a piece of shit guy, all those guys, ABBA, all those guys, they all think they're better than each other. And at one point they might have been, but not really. But at one point, because you remember, this is all coming to light kind of in real time, right? My sister-in-law's Lebanese, Lebanon for the win. Thank you so much for the super chat. Brother Bard. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Shout out to Lebanon. One of my besties growing up is Lebanese. And to this day, they all like still live in the same neighborhood I go home to all the time to visit my friends from, 27 years ago. 27 years knowing people. 27 years, All these people are shitty. But you know what's funny is like there really is a timeline. I think Ethan and Destiny are specifically like some of the worst, like they really got like they almost wanted to like look better over time, but it's not really that much better. I think the branding is just better because now people see Destiny as the guy who takes down MAGA people, but underneath the branding is just shit. Or Ethan is like, oh, this progressive who was on Leftovers, but behind the scenes it's obviously not there. And also, I think the same thing, I ran into the same problem Hassan did, where like Hassan and I will be friends with people. And again, I'm not equating us the same because we're coming from different perspectives. It's just a similar phenomenon where we like are so nice to the people, but they don't know we're being nice to them. Hassan was so nice to Ethan during Leftovers, trying to like tippy-toe and get him to understand how progressive or not progressive he was. I was so nice to Abba. I was so nice to Destiny and Sneeko, thinking that like, but they didn't know. They take it for granted. They don't even know you're treating them like babies. Because they literally don't know how much they don't know. And you're doing that because you think you're a good person, you're trying to be good, right? No. Hassan, I remember when Hassan literally said there's no way Ethan is as crazy as you guys think he is. And now here's this. And then the moment you try to call them out, they're like, what the fuck? Are you mad at me? And I was like, bro, I'm disappointed in you for being a piece of shit. Like, that's the problem. Hassan literally said, there's no way Ethan, guys, you're exaggerating. Ethan's fine. He's just mad right now. I said the same thing about every other boy. I was like, it's fine, guys. They're just mad right now. They're going to do the work. I believe in them. Oops. They didn't do the work. They didn't do the work. And then, of course, everything else comes out to light. Now, I bet Hassan's like, I haven't seen Hassan's reaction to this, so I don't know what he's thinking. But I bet like he's as shocked as I am. Because when I posted my video about Destiny in November, the Lauren Southern DMs leaked to prove my point because I didn't have receipts. He just told me they were sleeping together. Then the receipts popped out and I was like, oh, thank God. Because like I didn't have those receipts. I just had his word of mouth. And then everything came to light that I didn't even know was happening. Hassan had no idea this was happening with Ethan. It's not like we knew. And that's the problem, right? Chad says, I'm tired of meeting people where they're at. When they hear where I'm at, they call me a slur. Well, you don't want to meet those people where they're at. I feel you there. Open with boundaries. We can't meet everybody where they're at. It's not always our job. That's what we have to learn. That's what I have to learn constantly. Is this my responsibility or is this somebody else's? Okay, right? Chad says, what would they do? Why would they do the work when they're rewarded for bad behavior? Do you think some people are more naturally introspective or is it a social conditioning for these men? Well, I think we're biological creatures evolved over time. So there must be some sort of biological predisposition that makes my brain very curious about philosophy. And probably the people who are generally attracted to my audience, they tend to be very philosophically minded and very curious and very like, so I'm assuming there has to be some point of it where it is a biological experience, but ultimately you still have to make the choice to engage. Ultimately, I still have to make the choice to deconstruct. Like ultimately, we still have to do the work. Like ultimately, we still are also products of our environment. And I think we have, yes, chat says open-minded. We're open-minded and we're curious. Curiosity, guys, the world is not a very curious place. The world is not, it doesn't have to be because it can survive for millions of years without needing to be very curious. But I would say the ones who are curious set into motion the possibility for so many great things, right? So it's sad. It's sad to believe. I believe in humanity as a whole, but I have less belief in individuals. So I have absolutely faith in humanity. I have no faith in Destiny or Ethan or Sneeko or Abba or any of those people. But I have so much faith for humanity. You know what I mean? Like again, when we complain about men in the patriarchy, we're not saying children born or assigned male at birth are the problem. We're saying the way we raise them and the way we bully them into becoming monsters. Because I guarantee you, this edginess that we're finding on the internet is trained into boys like you're pussy if you don't engage with it. Oh, what are you afraid to make an edgy joke, Ethan? And then Ethan goes, oh, I'm gonna take it a step further. They have none of the discernment. Your parents are also responsible for teaching you discernment. Obviously, his parents didn't teach him shit. His dad's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Discord said curiosity is activated. Curiosity is actively discouraged with things like curiosity killed the cat, isn't it? Yes, but the full sentence of curiosity killed the cat is misunderstood. Curiosity killed the cat full. Hold on. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. That's the full sentence. So we always learn these things so wrong. We always learn the first half, but never the full. So curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought him back. Amen, baby. I'm on my 100th life as we speak, girl. You know? So there we go. Yeah, beautiful, right? So, and again, like, there's nothing wrong with being a man, but there's everything wrong with not deconstructing what it means to be one. Especially when you're in a position of privilege like these boys are. All right.
Thought I was the edgelord, and this guy is he's out edgelording me on pedophilia, which was supposed to be my domain, according to this guy.
Wait, got it.
Oh my god, this man is out edgelording me in pedophilia, which is supposed to be my domain.
What losers, bro.
This is the weirdest fucking internet beef I have ever seen in my life.
If you like this guy is he's out edgelording me on pedophilia, which was supposed to be my domain.
That needs to be a soundbite on the HP podcast. This man is out edgelording me in pedophilia, which is supposed to be my domain. The way he said it made it seem like he's upset. Like, hey, pedophilia is my thing, Ethan. Stay out of it. That's what it sounds like. I know what he's trying to say, but it sounds like such a self-own, man.
Like the most.
And I don't believe this. I think this is a downplay. I think Destiny's downplaying it like he does with everything else. I don't think Ethan is out pedoing him. Destiny has. I think that's a part of the downplay. I think it's a mask. The way he always downplays everything he does, like when he leaked people's sex, like their videos, their intimate videos, he was like, "You guys are blowing this out of proportion. It's not that big of a deal." I think that's what he's doing here secretly in the back of his head. To the audience, it looks like he's trying to just like be funny, but he actually did not out pedo Ethan because he actually did talk about how hot 15-year-olds were that were real.
Embarrassing part for me putting all this video together was I might have actually been out edged by this guy. Okay, I thought I was the edgelord, and this guy is he's out edgelording me on pedophilia, which was supposed to be my domain, according to this guy.
The way to cut it. If you like Destiny, if you think he's smart and cool and funny and awesome, good. Keep watching him. But no, that you are supporting someone who was attracted, 15-year-olds, who shared compromising bikini pics that 15-year-olds sent to him.
Compromising? These are pictures posted publicly on social media. People at the beach. Again, like,
who cares? Why would you have them on your phone, stupid? That's what I'm saying. He's like, this is a normal picture of a 15-year-old in a bikini. Why do you have it? I don't think in my life I could ever think about sending a picture of a minor that was like off the internet and be like, look at this girl in a bikini. What? Like to who? Your girlfriends? Because you're like, wow, we were raised so differently? Or to boys who are like, this girl is hot? You weren't a girl who is like, oh my God, remember how we used to dress as teenagers? Look at the girls now, which is, you know, a whole thing that needs to be deconstructed. Ladies, we got to deconstruct it. But also, he was sending it to his friends to be like, isn't she hot? Bro, these 15-year-olds are made different. Hello? Hello?
What the bro, are you trying to defend, like, okay, even if a 15-year-old shared a fucking picture at the beach on social media, why are you looking at that shit? Why are you sharing that shit? Why are you even engaging in that shit, bro? Stop trying to defend it. This is disgusting, man. What is this?
So stupid.
Fuck this drama.
That's what I mean. They're so fucking dumb and perverted. They don't even know how stupid and ugly they are. Like, not ugly physically, ugly in their thoughts. Their thoughts are so ugly. They're so distorted, but they can't even see it. They're like, what? Why do you even have that photo?
Is that it, or is that something else? No, I got one more thing. Destiny gives 3 rebuttals to the claims in Ethan Klein's videos. I don't care. 2 minutes. Fuck that shit. We're done with the drama, folks. That's it. How long did that take?
Hold on. Is he done? No more receipts?
Critiques
okay. First of all, let me link this podcast again. It was really great. I think he did a really good job. Anthony did a really good job of sharing all the receipts and stuff, because God knows I was not going to look into this story, but I watched Do Not Worry when I'm like doing stuff in their live and I have them on in the background, and this came on and I was watching it. I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is the world. I tell you, every time I think, man, Brittany, you know, that joke was too far on stream. Now, listen, I'm like PG in comparison to this shit. You know, whatever. Oh my God. Jess says, ever since you made that vid on Destiny, there's been a nonstop stream of his crimes coming out on the internet. Girl, listen to me when I say I don't believe in God, but I pulled a fucking tarot card. I don't even believe in tarot cards like that. I not only pulled a tarot card and meditated on it so hard, but I was like, I was dying under the harassment of his community for 2 years. I was like, I'm dying under this harassment. It's so hard. And I was like, I got to do this. I got to post this video, rid myself of this fucking man in this bubble, and disappear. And my life just got so much better. I felt like I took a burden I was carrying, you know, I let it out, and I just feel so fucking free. It was so stressful. I mean, harassment after harassment, messages after messages, every fucking day, post after post, bro. I was really like, I felt like I couldn't breathe under the harassment from his community. And I know that's a part of the internet gig, but it still fucking sucks. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to post this video. And I posted it, and it's just like, I felt so liberated. I felt so liberated. I was just like, it's over. Like, I don't have to, and I haven't. Like, I posted that video, and the harassment stopped. Probably because after I posted it, literally within like a week or 10 days of posting it, the DMs leaked from Lauren Southern. And I was vindicated. And it felt like, okay, good. Now it's over. You know? And now it just spiraled into what we see here. But it's like, oh my God. Yeah. Every time I think like it can't get worse, somehow it gets worse with these people. I can't believe it. Like Ethan's post, like, you got to watch what your kids are doing on the internet first and foremost. We have got to be doing that. But like our parents really raised us so poorly. Ethan's parents did a horrible job and he's going to continue doing a horrible job. I didn't know it was this bad. You know, I just didn't know he was out on the internet posting some of the grossest fucking shit you've ever seen. And how did that happen? I mean, when we zoom out, guys, like he didn't just exist in a vacuum. He was influenced, encouraged. I think that's why Dr. K is trying to save these boys from these bubbles. They're very bad. The boy bubble is very toxic on the internet. Wow. Man, and he was like a grown up. He was like 28 years old. That's pretty crazy. Like a grown up, you know? And it's weird because Ethan used to talk about how he didn't have friends growing up and he kind of didn't want to hang out with his family a lot. He always felt kind of different from them. And he talked about like, him and Destiny both want to be so a part of a friend group so badly, but they're just such bad friends that they don't have one. You know what I mean? Like both of them talked about this. Destiny would say like, okay, but I wanted to be friends with people. Like I remember when he reached out to me one time, he was like, hey, Not So Erudite says I should be like friendlier with people and try to make friends. So do you want to talk? And I was like, oh. And I was like, sure. We talked for a little while, but it was like pretty clear, like it wasn't going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? I was like, I didn't know much about him at the time. I was newly in the bubble. He didn't even pick me as a friend for any other reason than his other friend, who's still friends with him, was like, you need to make friends with people. And I was like, okay. But it was weird. Like, it was like boring conversation, shallow. He didn't, he just wanted to vent. Like, it was almost like he just wanted to vent. He didn't know how to be a friend. He thought having a friend was like buying you dinner. And I was like, that's not what being a friend is. But that's the problem is like, I don't think he knows how to. So same with Ethan. Ethan struggles to have friends. That's why they have these two boys, Ethan and Destiny, have the most YouTube breakups I've ever seen in my life. Which is, we're coworkers at the end of the day. And that's the other problem. I was never, like, I'm not friends with most people. I'm coworkers. That's what I wanted to. When I started collabing again with people coming out of my Contra days, when I was reaching to collab again, because I was so, don't even make me rehash the Contra drama. Jesus Lord. But like trying to come back to collabing, I wanted like coworkers. But it's just, what an insane space. So we're going to get into that right now. So let's pause on this section, okay? We're going to talk about philosophy YouTube is broken. And we're going to talk about that next because I think the same thing happens even outside the debate bro bubbles. It's something about philosophy, social justice, and politics where it's very hard to know who to trust, who to promote, who to collab with. And it's like we're all here for different reasons. I know why I'm here, but sometimes I do not know why these other people are here because they are so fucking unhealed. It is so obvious to me. Like, I genuinely just want to know what's true and I want to help people. And I think a lot of people, they're too unhealed to know what that means, in a sense. Like, that's why I think I look at a little bit of older people to kind of see what they're going through because I feel like they kind of figured it out a little bit more. But they also have the chance of being stagnant as well. It's a combination of things. We'll get into it. I have a whole thought about this. Philosophy YouTube is broken, Michael Burns. We'll get into that in a second. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Okay? But yeah, it's the same issue with Contra and Gaza now. I'm not surprised. Like, I am not shocked at Natalie's position on Palestine because I knew what she was like all those years ago. She is a coward. She was a coward when I knew her years ago. She's a coward now. She always has been. That's why I tell you, be careful who you put on a pedestal. Because deep down, we're all just a bunch of cowards. Until we are not. Until we change. Until when the situation arises, we do the right thing. Pay attention to when your favorite content creator actually does the right thing. Because most of us are cowards. Okay? And who can blame us? Humans are pretty weak. Okay? Brittany Broski, Contra. Hell, when Palestine first started, I was not in a place to learn about it in that deep of a way. Even though 10 years ago, I was talking about how Israel was fucking up Palestine. When October 7th happened and people became aware of it, even I was like, I don't have the spoons for this. And then I locked in. And then I locked in, girls. But that's the difference. I locked in and I apologized. And it will be the greatest regret is not getting locked in fast enough. Biggest regret. But that's the point. I did lock in and there's proof of it. But you can hold me accountable for the way I didn't lock in fast enough. Because I didn't. Big regret. I didn't lock in fast enough. Huge regret. But here we are now, baby. Free Palestine.